It's just
I've
occasionally. I'll occasionally get Adam and someone else talking, and I can't stop them.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are here now. All right. Streets Kartel, Reaper 1300. We are here with Allen Iverson, the white Allen Iverson of Kawasaki's, Mr. Evan Robinson. And we got the Wesley Snipes of roll racing right here. Mr.
The Wesley
Speedy.
Snipes.
Welcome you guys. Thank you for coming on. Shit, man, so much to talk about, bro. Fucking Busas, Jixas. Who was the greatest? I don't fucking like any of them per se. I'm lying. I don't like Busas, but it is what it is. Let's go, man. Let's go. Where should we start, Reed?
We should start with Evan. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, everybody knows Samedi and EJR, but still, tell us about yourself. One of y'all can go first.
To let you know how white I am, I had to look up who Allen Iverson was to know the reference.
Oh,
so
stop it!
Come on, bro.
Dude, I'm a weak ass farm boy now. I live in agriculture farmland, so what do I know? I don't know anything,
bro.
This man, so he had to look
Jesus
up
Christ, Evan, I don't. You got me fucked up now.
Dude, I wrestled during basketball season. I don't know anything about it.
See, then I should have said the Ric Flair. The Ric Flair.
I don't know who Ric Flair was.
Oh, all right. We got the Ric Flair.
Anyway.
We got the Ric Flair Kawasaki's here. Jesus. Evan, what's going on with you, bro? How's everything going for you, man?
Good. The recovery? The recovery's been extraordinarily slow. The last time I crashed was 8 years ago, and there's a definite healing time frame difference. They were, in my opinion, I think injuries this time around were a little worse. But in my opinion, like cracked ribs, they take a little while to heal because the fact that you're always moving. But man, it's like I feel like I'm halfway back to where I was. My rib cage, it's still hard to lay down and stuff. Skin, I mean, as you can see, it's there, but it's getting a lot better. But we'll get there. But for the most part, recovery's been fine. ZX10's back to like it never crashed. That was like a thing I had to do for myself, or else I was going to lose my mind. And then other than that, though, no, pretty solid. How about you guys?
Good to go. Will,
I'm good.
Your go.
I'm good. I'm good over here.
If that was EJR's performance way of telling us about himself.
Oh, my bad. Okay, fine.
I mean, what the hell?
My name is Evan. I founded this company, EJR Performance, racing motorcycle or building motorcycles, not racing them. In I believe 2018, maybe 2019. I don't remember when I actually got my legitimate license, and I transitioned from a media YouTube page to an actual business. But anyway, it was somewhere in that time frame. Building motorcycles. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. It's been a back and forth road, sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes 1 step forward, 2 step back, but for the most part though, it's I made most of my I guess people knowing me from the ZX10 platform. And in 2020, I bought a Busa because I've always wanted a Busa. I just didn't get one until I rode a stock Busa. I'm like, if I enjoyed riding a stock slow as shit Busa, then I wanted a Busa. And I've been toting the Busa name ever since and not really caring much about the Kawasaki, although I still love the bike. It's just, I don't know. Once I got into the Busa, I stopped caring about leader bikes. That's my honest opinion on that. Yeah. And then all of them.
Yeah.
How are you, brother? Talk to us. Talk to us.
I'm good, man. Pretty much. I mean, if you don't know who Speedi is by now, you've been under a rock, pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I want to say I got into bikes since 2006, and I had 06 GSXR1000. Very first bike. Actually, no, I lied. Very first bike was a GSXR600. It was an 03. And I had it for like 2 weeks. And I had a roommate. And at that time, he's like, yo, he's like, I just picked up a bike, you know, you should get one so we can like cruise downtown. Da da da. I'm like, okay. So I went and bought a bike, and I say about 2.5 weeks later, because he had a 1000, so I was like, man, we get on the highway, he just freaking leaves me, bro. So I'm like, okay. So I went and bought a 1000. I bought an 06 GSXR 1000 and kept that for about 2.5 years. Then I turbocharged it. I was into cars before that, so like I kind of had an idea of what, you know, how to go about that, you know. Turbocharged it. It made like back in those days, it made decent horsepower for what it was. You know, it didn't run well. You know, it took me a while. A shitload of freaking oil leaks and all that stuff. You deal with that stuff when you go turbo, you know. But
especially back then, bro.
Oh yeah, back then it was just there was stuff, but unless you knew somebody that knows somebody, that you just couldn't get your hand on them. Or if you did, they were pretty expensive. I just couldn't afford them. So this and that, you know. So we patched some stuff together. Got some we got a turbo kit put on the bike. The bike made decent horsepower. Worked for a couple mechanic shops. I worked for like Power Sport of Palm Beach, you know, as like a tech, and then like it was dyno tuning, and then we bought a dyno, and then it just went on from that point, you know. But then I bought a Busa, and like can't remember what year it was. Bought a Busa. They kept that for like about a year, and then I went big motor. Like the size, you know, I had a Busa with an 85 mil, and a 9 mil crank. This is back in those days, you know, and the bike ran. You know what I mean? The bike ran. So I kind of know what it feels like to have a big motor Busa, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It wasn't as light, you know, as Evan's bike, or, you know, like, you know, it just, nowadays there's so many parts you can buy that you didn't have access to back in the days, you know. So so I had the motor, I had the power. Putting the power down was like kind of, you know, we figured some stuff out. It was still on a stock ECU, and basically it was a motorbike, and then we transferred it over to a nitrous bike. It was on a 200 shot of nitrous. I ran that bike on the street, you know, drag racing, road racing, whatever it was, you know, it was fast. I felt like it was fast, you know. So I took that, ran with it. And in 2017, I've had a few bikes between that, but in 2017, I bought my first 2017 GSXR 1000, which is the black one. And then I bought the white one in 2017 as a leftover. So I've had quite a few bikes, man. It's a learning curve. You never stop learning, but it just keeps going.
Okay. Well, we have several in the comments already commenting. Y'all can see that, I think. If y'all have questions, we'll try to pay attention, but it's all about the conversation. So the topic of discussion, which one of y'all want to go first? Can a big motor Busa keep up with a stroker GSXR 1000? Let's go.
So
Man,
if you're
he went right through it, man. Didn't he?
Let's go. Let's go, man.
So hear me out.
For.
If the question is going to be as vague as that, then my return question is, you know, does a bear shit in the woods? So yes,
yeah, of course. So I'm gonna be unbiased, but go ahead, man.
So the thing is that it all comes down to really truly answer that question honestly and not competitively. The same person has to build both bikes equally. They have to put the same level of effort in to get the same data and know, because like, for example, if you're comparing, I don't know, Joe Blow versus Joe Suck, whatever. I don't know. I can't think of names.
Whoa.
I'm not referencing anybody, just using generic names. And one guy happens to be just more educated. And regardless of which bike he's building, he's probably going to be the one to go faster. Or the guy who's more educated and also wants to spend more money or do more radical things. So Samidi's got experience with Busas. So I think he kind of probably knows the answer to this too. Actually, I'm sure he does. But the reality is that the answer is yes. It's just, what are we comparing when we say big motor Busa versus stroker GSXR? Because I can just about guarantee that we'll just reference Jigsaw since it's the only one that everybody wants to talk about, at least from me or whatever. That bike personally will beat most of the stroker GSXRs in existence, but it won't beat all of them. You know, it's not going to beat the carbon one. It probably won't beat Speedi's bike. I'm going to be honest with you. In fact, they obviously know more about it than I do in terms of which one of those guys runs faster when. If they test together, they know how fast they go, you know? So realistically, Jigsaw probably cannot beat Speedi's bike or Chase's bike. And there are some reasons for that. You know, for example, a lot of guys talk about max ECU. That helps. That's definitely a part, but in my personal opinion, that's helping more with consistency than anything else. That's going from, let's say, location to location. Obviously the max is going to do, a computer is going to do more than the human being's wrist can do. I think we all can agree with that, right?
Yeah.
But on the right roads where you've got a lot of good traction, you can put down a lot of power really quickly. A good rider can, for the most part, get it down the road fast. Consistently, that's up to, you know, how talented the rider is. I consider myself an average to slightly above average rider. I am not the guy, if you want to put the fastest, regardless of what I weigh, I'm not the fastest guy you're going to put from a talent standpoint, not even close. Speedi's definitely a better rider than me. Most of the Florida jockey guys are better riders than me. But I feel like I went on a tangent here. Have I?
Yeah, I mean,
you're
already. Yeah, you're good.
You're going on, baby.
They're saying half mile, 9.
We'll reel you in, Evan. Don't worry about it. We'll reel you in.
So, okay, so this is actually something you guys were talking about the other night. Half mile and 9/10, and okay, so we all can agree the Busa, and without comparing the power plant from just a motorcycle standpoint, it's more aerodynamic, correct?
Yeah. Well, definitely.
So we all would say at some point, at some mile an hour, the Busa is going to accelerate better when it makes the same power. Correct? If they, but let's talk like this. You don't think
I don't know about that? Yeah.
No, because like then you still have the weight factor into it. So if it makes the same horsepower as
speed goes up.
If it makes the same horsepower as the GSXR 1000, 1000, and the 1000 is 50 pounds lighter, it should not accelerate quicker than that bike.
At some point, hear me out. At some point, in like say, now this is going to bring in land speed racing, which in my opinion is not 9/10 racing, like people like try and compare it to. 9/10 racing, in my opinion, is still a power to weight ratio type race. Aerodynamics does matter, but not as much as say land speed racing. However, in say land speed racing, there is a point where weight really doesn't matter at all anymore, and it's literally about power and aerodynamics to continue accelerating.
Yeah, but at what point though? Because you have a gap. You know, from 40 miles an hour to what point do you think when the aero starts coming into play? You get what I'm saying? So
I think in a half mile, bro, that's a hard.
In a half mile, the Busa's aero is going to mean virtually nothing. Virtually nothing. It might start mattering in the last 10 to 15 miles an hour, but if there is like a multiple bike length, I'm talking like if we're within a half a bike length, the Busa might have a chance at victory from aero, but even that is tough. If it's multiple bike lengths back, the aero is going to play zero part in that race. I think we can all probably agree with that, right?
Yeah, I'll take that.
But the other factor too is obviously the start of the race, in which, from my opinion anyway, most of these big power races where everybody's putting in most amount of effort, there's a lot of money involved on both sides in terms of setting the bikes up. The start of the race tends to win the race. You know, when comparing, say, two big dollar stroker Gixxers, for example, you know, typically, now I'm not saying I'm there for every race because I'm certainly not. A lot of the races you see, whoever gets out away in the beginning, unless they're racing a much faster bike, that bike usually doesn't catch back up. It's usually where it ends. You know, I mean, how many times have we seen, say, some of the top 5 stroker Gixxers that you see talked about, where one gets away from the other one and the other one just walks around it and passes it? I don't see that often. Maybe, like I said, I don't see a lot of races.
Yeah, I haven't seen that often myself, but I also like, you know, the big money races. I caught, I think, the tail end of your race, I think, Samedi on Chase's bike this past Miami, because you guys raced past the crowd. So you know what I mean? You guys don't record any of that stuff. So I've probably only seen and witnessed on video maybe 2 races. And it's never like who got out is who won the race kind of a deal.
Yeah.
You know, so I agree with Evan on that.
So
how do you feel, Samedi?
I mean, in some sort of way, yeah. It's whoever gets out. I mean, it's not always like that, but like if you have 2 bikes that make the same, close to the same horsepower. Like my bike's never been on dyno, so I don't know what it makes. You know, Tracy's bike, we don't know what those bikes make. We just pray to God that it goes down the road and it's just supposed to, you know, like we know what we have. No, I'm all jokes aside. Like we know what we have, so you know, it's like we use a Draggy. We use a Draggy device a lot. I know some people hate that stuff. I know Evans don't really care for it.
I just like the whole racing thing.
We use it as data. We use it for data. So same day data, same day, same time. If we both mix, you know, 2 passes and we look at the data, we're like, okay, all right, you know, look at the DA, look at this, look at that, and the numbers lined up. So we're like, okay, all right, so the bike runs this today, and if the next day we go out and the DA is close to the same and it runs something totally different and nothing really happened, no tire spin, something's wrong. So based on power wise, most of these stroke injectors make the same horsepower. They make close to the same amount of horsepower. Like
if everybody uses very similar shit, then realistically it's going to be that way.
Right, because the max ECU doesn't get you horsepower.
No,
it doesn't get you horsepower.
Nope.
It doesn't. You know, it just, there's so much in it that can help you manage the power, yes, but it doesn't get you horsepower. I personally think that, like, just like you said, whoever leads first, whoever gets out first, it's probably gonna stay in front, because like you gotta make X amount of power to come around another bike that's already pulling freight, you know, like X amount of freaking, you know, mile an hour in front of you. Like if I'm, you know, if I crack that throttle before you do, it doesn't matter if your bike goes freaking 30 60 to 130, 30 100 to 150, but if I crack it before you do, that your 30 is back there.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So like, if you fall asleep on the flagger, your 30 is behind me, like 2 bikes behind me or a bike behind me. So you're gonna lose that race. You know, like it just unless something majorly goes wrong, you know, cam timing can slow the bike down up top. Yes, that does happen. But you got to create so much of a gap for you know, if the cam timing will screw up, then the bike's it's gonna fall on its face up top. It's just not gonna make the power where you need it once you click 6, if that makes sense. Yep. You know, but very rarely you'll probably never see another stroke jigsaw come around another stroke jigsaw. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. No.
You know, you would just need something that's just if they make the same or similar power, one guy is just his tuning, his chassis, the bike itself. Oh, here we go with this camera thing. Something is at a massive disadvantage to make that happen. Because that's just kind of the way it is.
I do have a question for the both of you. So let's say, because I'm just thinking as you guys are talking, someone brought up fuel in the comments. So let's say we have a big motor, okay, a stroker Busa versus a stroker Gixxer. And just like you guys were just talking about, both of you guys leave at the same time. Do you think that if both are on the same fuels with great tunes, do you think with the Busa having the advantage of torque, shouldn't the Busa win?
I think, my opinion, when you start playing with strokers, both bikes are limited at the road. The torque, the horsepower, in terms of first gear, getting into second gear, everybody has to manage power. So it's really about the road and the chassis at that point, more than it is the motor and the torque. You know, like, because I can tell you that my stock motor Busa, which at the time the lightest it ever was 413 pounds or something. That bike could not put full power down in first gear. It would want to do a backflip. And that bike was like 62.5 or 63 inches long. So that bike had no traction issues. It had, unfortunately, you remove weight from things, they want to wheelie more, especially on a Busa when most of the weight, or most bikes in general, the weight's in the front end. But that bike, the thing is that you would think, oh, this Busa is leaving at full power versus my Busa leaving at not full power. That guy's going to get away from me, when the opposite happened. Because you're at the limitation of the road more so than just power. So my bike's weight and all that stuff factors into it doesn't need to put down the same amount of power to move the weight, you know? So when you get to, say, 330, 340 pound stroker versus 370 pound stroker GSXR versus 370 pound stroker Busa, neither bike is leaving on full power. And if you are, you're probably really long on a drag strip, because that's just kind of the way that is. Which to do that on the street on a shorter bike that doesn't completely start knocking the tire off in high gear, you're not going to put full power down. You can get a lot of power in, but for the most part, like for example, looking at I'll just reference this race, Samedi versus Two Wheel. Now, I obviously wasn't there. I'm just going by the video, but you see them hit it, and Samedi doesn't leave Artie for dead on the hit. It doesn't like he takes all of the horsepower advantage that he has over Artie and immediately puts it down and leaves him for dead. He pulls away a little in first gear, but as you see him click gears, or not him click gears, but is yours this might be private information or not, so you don't have to answer. But is yours auto shift, or are you shifting it?
I'm shifting my own bike.
Shifting it, okay. But you start to see more power get put in, and then he just steamrolls the longer the race goes. But if that was a, let's say both bikes were, I don't know, 68 inches long, and we were on a surface that hooked 100% of the power, and then they put all of the power down, Samedi's leaving that bike for dead, like it's tied to a tree, But because it's the street and you're limited by traction and wheelie and all that and the chassis, essentially, you can't just do that. So I feel like I went on another tangent there.
No.
Well, this is a technical
it's your
conversation.
opinion, Yeah. And for the comments, if y'all have
conversation,
comments, if you have some, if it's a very good, okay. If you say something that's like random and disrespectful, I probably won't show it on the screen. It's gonna
we're gonna fuck it.
But if you have a legitimate question, I will put it up on the screen for everybody to see, and then either Will or Evan can address it.
Works for me.
So, Samedi, I have a question for you, bro. In that event, how many events have you brought your GSXR to that you have had to run multiple races? Because that definitely shows consistency and a well-built bike for you to want to compete in events at this point. If you're not getting money races, single money races, if you're competing in events, then that you got to be making maybe 6, 7, 8 passes in a day or something like that.
Oh yeah, man. There's quite a few. Like TRC, they usually host. I don't know if they're gonna do it again after last year, but yeah. So like, if there's like 20, 30 bikes, so you're making like 7, 8 passes at least, unless you get a buy, But most of the time they don't give you enough time to cool down, and that's one big problem that we have with the stroker bikes. You gotta let them cool down. I actually ended up hurting a motor one time. The first TRC event. I made it to the final, and I looked around, and the bike was at freaking 220 degrees already. And not enough, just it wouldn't cool down, and I lifted the head, so I hurt the motor in the final, which it's a given, it's a lesson learned. I'll never do that again. Tell you what, they can have that. You know what I'm saying? That cost me some money. But like you gotta figure, like I said, if there's like 20 bikes at least, and you gotta run at least 5 to 6 times at least consistent, and the motor has to live. It has to live. If it doesn't live, it's not gonna make it. Cause like in Vegas, my second motor that I hurt was in Vegas. I think I made it down to like the semifinal, and something happened at the end. Not sure what happened. I won the race, pulled the clutch in, the bike shut off, and that was it. When we popped it open, it cracked all 4 pistons. Lifted the head. That was a total destruction. You know what I mean?
When did you say that was?
This was in Vegas.
That was in Vegas?
Last September. And then I did I had to do a total rebuild, meaning like basically I think the only thing that was salvageable was the crank. The head got hurt, so I had to buy another motor, pretty much buy another stock motor and just start from fresh. So there's a lot that come into play, like you take chances. Like I'm a racer, I don't care. So another what I mean, I do care, but I don't. So I'm just looking for race. I'm just trying to race. You know what I mean? So I don't care if it's like, okay, there's a risk. There's always a risk. Like you never know if the bike's gonna go from point A to B. point it to be. If it makes it, it's gonna be fast. But if it doesn't make it, something's wrong. But like how reliable my car is, I don't know. Dude, like all I know, listen, I don't even know, dude. Like I said, I'm on my third block, and I've had a motor in that bike. What a lot of people doesn't know, I've had a motor in that bike since 2018 actually. And there was a point in time where people thought the bike was on nitrous. I'm like, no, I was on stock ECU. I ran stock ECU till 2022. Wow. The end of 2022. Yeah. So I mean, Evans, I would go every weekend. I was racing every weekend. I was still on stock ECU. Mm-hmm. So nowadays, things have gotten a lot better. So like, you learn as you go. But like, I still think a lot of bikes can be fast stock ECU. I think the max comes into play. It helps with a lot of power delivery. Mm-hmm. So like, can a bike be faster with a max ECU? Quicker. I truly believe that. I've seen it. You know what I mean? I know what I ran before, and I know what I run now, and we haven't changed anything as far as setup wise.
Yeah.
So, and horsepower wise, we don't even know what the bike makes. We just know it goes. They run this number, it run that number. I was like, okay, all right. So we'll see. We'll keep it like that until we get beat. And if we get beat, then we know we can go back and look and be like, okay, you know what? Maybe we can change this. We can change that. But I ran. What a lot of people doesn't know, I ran MRX02. I ran MRX02 for ever. I used to run pump gas for a while. I live an hour north of Miami. So I would ride from my house, which is to Miami, to race and ride back. So it didn't become I think that was one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, bump this. Let me get a trailer. Let me start trailing stuff down. Like it just didn't make no sense. You know what I mean? Because I just
with the big motor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to go to bike night. I used to go to. Listen, but you gotta remember, when you're on pump gas or MRX02, whatever pump gas, whatever it is, like it just. I mean, the motor, the settings was different, if that makes sense. Now, my motor's high compression, so like I'm not running pump gas in it. It doesn't matter. But before, I mean, we had I'm not gonna say it's been a stroke in there since 2018. So, just people didn't catch on, and now they're catching on. Like it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I truly believe you can street ride I mean, look at Big Will. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's done to that bike, but it's fast.
It's stock.
And I mean, but
yeah,
it's fast. Yeah, we don't know what's done to it, but it's fast.
Stock, Will.
Look, bro, he goes to the gym. He rides around with his girl. So
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So like, it's just like it can be done, but like when you get to a stage to where I'm at, where me and Chase are, we just don't chance it. We don't care. We just we don't chance to like freaking go to bike night. It's not a bike night bike. It's a race bike now.
But that is a segue to what we talked about the other day, me and Kartel. And I'm sure this is somewhat controversial and involves a lot of Evan. But can y'all see the question that I put up from Envy?
Yeah. I'm just waiting for a moment to.
Yeah, so that actually is where I'm getting at. If you look at Biscuit, right? Biscuit, Evan?
So Biscuit's mine, the 1441.
Okay.
Jigsaw's a 1596.
So Biscuit and Jigsaw, mm-hmm. Right? So how do you address this question? Like, can one of those bikes on pump gas and or MR12, how does it keep up with an M5 type Gixxer?
So it's hard to say that, because M5, let's just say you're comparing to, I don't know, MR12 or 2WL, which is basically MR12 without lead. Mm-hmm. If you're running, whichever bike is running M5 has a distinct horsepower advantage from fuel. If that was the case, you wouldn't be running M5. It's a much more volatile, pain in the ass fuel to run, to tune, but the maintenance, everything about it is shittier, except for the fact that you make more power and go faster. So M5 in a stock motor makes a good amount more power, and more so than a good amount more power, there's a lot more ET. There's a lot more acceleration. You go faster, quicker, faster. Use whatever word you want to use for the relevance of its, specificity in terms of, because people get mad about fastest being top speed and quickest being how fast you get there, and using those words opposite pisses people off sometimes. But the point is that M5, like, I personally will never use M5 in any of my personal shit. I have zero intention of ever running it in my bikes. I mean, that's so Jigsaw is owned by Chris Progno. It's going to come down to him. And if he truly, in my opinion, wants to make that bike compete with the top Gixxers, we absolutely need to be running that bike on M5. But I do think at that point, when we get there, if we wanted to do that, then I think Jigsaw straight up has just the advantage. That's my opinion. Can't prove that without actually racing the bikes. But to answer a couple questions or comments I've seen in chat, mainly from some person, I don't claim to have the fastest NA of anything. That's just rumor and speculation from random people saying things. So please stop saying that. Anyway, Jigsaw is not the fastest NA bike in existence. I don't ever claim that. I wouldn't claim that. That's ignorant as fuck. So sorry if I swore. I don't know how you guys handle swearing on here.
No. Listen, that's the least of our worries over here, my boy.
Hey, there's kids watching that, you know?
Right.
Right.
But I would be very curious to see how fast Jigsaw is if we had a really lame stipulation if everybody can only run out of a pump gas. And you run 93 octane, not ethanol, 93 octane. But anyway, that's besides the point. No one does that except for idiots like me. But so, like I said, do I expect Jigsaw to beat Samedi or to beat Chase's bike? No, I don't. But I also don't think I think what I really like about Samedi's bike is that his bike is my ideal version of what you would call a race bike. It looks like a street bike. You know, it doesn't look like what most people, you go on Instagram. I'm sorry. I hate 99% of the bikes I see. Respectfully to people, I know my opinion really doesn't really matter, but I don't like what the trend of what I'm seeing of like completely molesting motorcycles to make them lighter and do whatever it takes to get a little bit faster when they haven't even gotten the basics done because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the way things go or what, but I really like that Samedi's bike looks like a traditional Gixxer. If bottom line is, if Samedi wasn't so popular and he brought that bike out of a trailer at a random meet and said it was stock, most people would probably believe it and have no idea who he is, and they would get lit the fuck up and have no idea what the hell just happened. You know, unfortunately, a lot of people know who Samedi is, so they expect Samedi to go and clean house. You know, so you know.
Well, most bikes that you see nowadays, they look a certain way, right? So it's perceived that they're already fucking fast. When you build something like Samedi's or like TBN or any of the Busas that you have over there, those bikes are a little bit under the scope when it comes to just visually looking, like from a distance. You know what I'm saying? When you start getting closer and you know what you're looking at, it's a little bit of a different situation. But by the eye, looking at Samedi's bike or Biscuit, or you can't really see, you know what I mean, the difference from like a bike with a stretch with nice wheels or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, which I appreciate, you know.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, I think that is an age thing. I think the younger demographic of motorcycle racers, whatever, don't care nearly as much about the cleanness of motorcycle builds. They just want to go as fast as possible. So they don't care. But I when I see a lot of bikes, I appreciate the like mechanical craftsmanship that goes into making a bike fast and making it look nice. And in my opinion, the faster a bike is, but the closer to looking stock it is the coolest fucking bike. Again, my opinion. So I just like bikes that look stock and are fast as fuck. That's my personal ideal motorcycle.
I agree with all of what y'all saying, but y'all forgetting people ain't rich out here, man. Okay, these younger guys getting in the game, they're not like established, if you will, like maybe we are. You know,
I'll say this: I'm not rich, but I have my hand in this industry, so I have resources that make. Plus, I look at things like money I put into shit is tax write-offs. You know,
that's good.
The average person doesn't have that. You know, that's huge. Yeah. That is literally a way of helping myself, my business make money as well. But when I was doing this, when this was purely a hobby, I just wouldn't do things that I hated for the sake of trying to go faster, or that I wouldn't like taking out a Sawzall or a hole saw or whatever to get something lighter to cut it up. It probably will go faster, but can you look at the bike? Truly, can you look at the bike and be happy with what you've created? Maybe some people can, but I personally was just always like, hey, you know, I'm okay with being a little slower. I'll figure out a way to do it, you know, but that's me. I still have stock tanks on my ZX10.
Form and function, man. Form and function. When I was in the Georgia event, bro, I was really surprised that like there's a lot of bikes that are online that do not look the same in person.
So
100%.
Will look the
course.
same, but I swear half the bikes I walked up to, I was like, oh well.
Yeah,
And they got a zip tie on his fucking key.
The same the same Instagram filters that people apply to themselves, they also apply to the things that they own, like their motorcycles.
100%. It was wild.
Yeah.
But
it was wild.
Do y'all see the question there? So it says, I think this is to Evan though, but this is to both of y'all. And Samedi, you could speak on this because you had a Nitrous Busa, right? He was on the TRC thing on YouTube. So
yeah,
could Biscuit's 1441 on spray, do you think it could compete with a stroker Gixxer?
Of course. Like that's Nitrous. You're like, are we talking a 20 shot or are we talking 150 shot? Because those are two very different resulting, you know?
Yeah.
So like 150 shot on, say, Biscuit, provided it survives, no shit. But it's like now you have to go race turbo bikes that are going to run you over with Nitrous. So you're back to losing again. So it's like,
look, I believe in Nitrous when you fat. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But like, okay, so I don't care because like despite what a lot of people think, I pride myself on being transparent about what I do with shit. So Biscuit's a 1441. The bike weighs 375 pounds. Don't give a shit if people believe that or if they say I'm lying in one way or direction or another. That's what the bike weighs. The motor is a decent motor, although I do have to check some things on it right now. But that bike with an 80 shot on it, okay, which is conservative for, say, a built motor Busa. So it's got rods in it. It doesn't have what I would call nitrous pistons. The pistons are probably more susceptible to damage with nitrous versus, say, a stock piston. It's not. I don't have HD pistons. So I have CP pistons, but I have the lightweight ones, not the HD ones, which are more suited for nitrous. Anyway, hypothetically speaking, if I had the HD pistons and the rods that I currently have, that bike would handle an 80 shot with proper tuning, no problem. That bike would run over Jigsaw, no problem, without question. That crankshaft that's in that stroker is not making 80 wheel horsepower, roughly, okay, for nice sake of round numbers, 80 wheel horsepower more consistently through the power band over Biscuit. It's just not happening, you know. That bike would absolutely run that bike over. But that's nitrous though. Like I hate it when people this isn't directed at the question or anything like that, but when people say they want to compare something with nitrous on it to a motorbike, and then first of all, they shouldn't be a race. The bike with nitrous should be the faster bike. If you have any idea what you're doing, it should easily be the faster bike. It's like, you know, it's like, okay, if I were to compare Biscuit to Boosted Catfish's turbo bike, well, his bike is 100 pounds heavier than mine. Okay. That bike would destroy my bike in any distance worth a fuck. And if that's like saying, what would happen to that race if he took the turbo off? It would all of a sudden be a reverse. It would be like, why is he even trying to race Biscuit? It's pointless, you know, but 20 pounds of boost, 150 shot of nitrous, although 20 pounds of boost is more horsepower than 150. But the point is that it's a landslide. You know, it's so much horsepower. If you've controlled it correctly, it has no business racing motorbikes. You know.
Yeah.
What about
how did your nitrous Busa feel, Samedi?
That bike was fast. Yeah, it was fast. Like that bike, the fastest I've been on that bike was 196 and a quarter. And that was a nitrous bike. Like I said, it just like, and it was short. So it was sitting, I want to say it was sitting at 64. 64 inches long. But man, that bike was fast. Nitrous will wake anything up. I mean, you can have a motor that has freaking bad compression. You freaking start spraying some nitrous into it, it's gonna wake it up. So I honestly don't even think that's even a conversation. You know, like you want to put nitrous on a bike to beat a freaking motorbike, go ahead. I mean, it should beat it. I mean, if it's set up right, correctly, you know.
Right.
I personally don't race. I try not to race like nitrous bikes or any power adder bike because it just takes me out of my element, meaning like it takes me away from what I'm trying to achieve, if that makes sense. Doesn't make sense for me to beat an H2. It doesn't make sense for me to beat a freaking nitrous booster because like at the end of the day, when people hear nitrous, whether or not it's freaking 20 shots or if it's a 100 shot, it's still nitrous. You know, but nitrous will wake anything up. My nitrous bike was fast.
Mm.
Yeah, I think my nitrous bike would definitely beat my GSXR for sure.
So
is that the only time you feel like, right? Because I've even my racing is nothing like the scale that you're on and stuff like that. But I don't care if it's a motorbike or whatever. I don't really do the whole handicap thing. You know what I mean? But if it's a power adder bike, do you feel like it's a necessity for you, especially if it's something built, you know what I'm saying, and capable, that you should ask for at least a hit or whatever the case may be?
Oh, I've tried it. It doesn't work. I tried it. Nah, it doesn't work. Dude, I had off subject, it was a ZX10 in Vegas. I had to give them like freaking 3 bikes in the hit. A Nitrous ZX10. I'm sorry, a Nitrous ZX10. It's just like, but you ask for the hit, they're like, no, you Samedi, you got a big motor. Da 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 da. I'm like, dude, it's still a motorbike. Can't make as much power as your nitrous bike will. It's not. I mean, if you got an 80 shot, it does not make more horsepower. You know what I mean? But it doesn't work. They won't go for it. Booster wise, you put an 80 shot on a booster, that thing's gonna run. It doesn't matter if it's a stock motor. I mean, I had when my booster was stock, we threw nitrous. We threw like I think a 60 shot on it, and the bike went 221. Like in the 9/10 of a mile. I think I ran Nick performance. This is like way back then, and this is back when Nick, he had an H2 that was going like 220, 222, somewhere like that, and like the 9/10 of a mile, and we ran, and I just got out, and boom, I was out. But it's just one of those things. Like you put nitrous on anything, you create ET. Doesn't matter if we both went 220. I got out and I stayed out because I was able to put the power down and freaking disappear. You know what I mean? And I personally think on anything on nitrous, it's gonna be quick. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fast. If it's
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was addressing this question here because I think that's to Evan, but
yeah, I'm just waiting. I don't want to interrupt. So
I just want to make a quick. So this is not about Evan racing Will. They're subject matter experts, if you will, on boosters and GSXRs. Big motor because he has 2 that he's, you know what I mean? So we're not saying that we're not setting up a race between them. We're saying how can these big stroker boosters beat up on big stroker GSXRs?
But drama sells. So
so I just want to throw that in there. But anyways, go ahead. My bad, bro.
100%.
So okay, Jim asks. So hang on, I can't speak. So you're never gonna get to the point. Will Jigsaw on MR12 beat Samedi Stroker? I think here, my honest opinion, I think it would be a good race. I'd actually genuinely either half mile and first of all, guys, for reference, I saw you guys talking about half mile and disadvantages and stuff. I actually favor a half mile race. That's all I do. I literally have been racing half mile distances since I started doing this. 9/10 is where I'm green, So anyway, aside from the point, I think it would be a solid race. I don't think, unless someone makes a very, very bad mistake in the race, I don't think it's going to be a one-sided race. I think it would be a good race, but I do think ultimately on MR12, the Busa, I don't think it's got enough to beat Samedi's bike on, say, M5. My honest opinion. But I do think from a racing standpoint, it's a worthwhile race to see happen. My opinion.
So, Will, somebody pulls up on you with a Busa, man, and they want to race, and it has a big motor. How you feel about that?
Man, you already know. Like,
No, go ahead.
Like,
Just like, how do you feel about it? Like,
it's not like you already know.
What,
like,
in your opinion, what do they need, you think, to beat you?
I mean, a big motor Busa, was it like 1596? It's big enough. Like, how we don't make.
It's not a power issue.
It's not a power. It's not a power thing. I mean, like, I think, okay, what do they need? If that bike weighs anywhere like 420 plus, it's not beating them.
Absolutely not. That's in my opinion. 420 is like the minimum if you want to be competitive at any category with a Busa. It needs to get towards 400 pounds, or else stop.
Yes,
just race Busas.
So anything like below 400, like, you know, like if it's 390 something, anything, we got to race. It's gonna be
now. Beat a Busa stuff is like 390s. Or below too.
So that's where
my bike.
I'm just saying, man.
No, it has to be a power thing. What I mean by that, like, you know, if beater, I don't know what's in that bike. I don't care. But like, it's just, if it's a 1441, it's not enough. Respectfully, it's not enough. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not disrespected. I never built the 1441 to be like the fast bike. I did it out of curiosity's sake to get races.
I'm speaking on my behalf. I'm not speaking for anyone. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's like, I think if you got a 1441, I don't care if it weighs freaking 350 pounds. It's not enough. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, because you still have to overpower my bike, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So if we're racing half mile, you still have to overpower me to come around. Unless you get in front of me and I gotta come around. So it won't be enough. A big motor for like a 1596, it's a dog fight. Lightweight. If it's under 400 pounds, for sure, I think it'll be a good match. I'd love to see it. I'm only saying that because, dude, again, I race anybody. I don't care. But it has to make sense. What I mean by that is, like, you come at me with a 1441, like, I just don't care for it. I don't care for it. If you come in with a big motor Busa, that say, okay, I like Evan's bike, not yours, but like, Progno. But like, I think that bike is capable of it's a contender for sure.
On the right fuels.
Yes. When you say the right fuel, what do you mean? Because like, if you based on people that's running M5 or like people that's running MR12, if Evan's running MR12, like, is that bike capable of beating a stroker GSXR on both bikes on MR12? Is that if that's what you're asking? Is 99% of the stroker bikes that are out there will lose to that bike. Yeah, and I know, I know about 90 of them. Yes, will lose to that. I think that bike is fast. This is me stating that. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see any one of those GSXRs out there running those numbers. But if they do, maybe there's something I don't know. But I truly believe that bike will beat 95% of those bikes out there.
Wow.
I agree. And the problem is that I saw Envy say the other day about, I can't remember what happened in the video or what it was responded to in your guys' video you posted about it. The
comments.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but he said something about it like it hasn't raced anybody, so it hasn't proven anything. And to an extent, I do agree. I have always been, and I'll say it all the time too, everybody Draggy races, everybody dyno races, everybody goes on the internet, Instagram, and talks and compares, and that's how they determine who's the fastest. Racing is who determines the fastest. And even still, even at the end of the day, right now, we're comparing, say, Jigsaw to Samidi's bike or whoever's bike. We are comparing, when we say, can it win? Can it lose? Will it be enough? We're comparing the best pass versus the best pass. We're not actually comparing what could happen in racing. And in racing, a lot of things can happen. If realistically, if it's a half-mile race, especially, if Samedi's bike, and let's just say he's on his bike and his bike's dialed, and I'm on Jigsaw and Jigsaw's dialed, and one of us completely knocks the tire off, or one of us does a stand-up wheelie and chops, that person just lost that race. Neither bike is like, holy fuck. Now, Samedi, let's just say hypothetically, Samedi spins or wheelies and falls out. He might start catching up, but he needs so much more power to weight to overcome, say, a Busa like that. He could absolutely do it to my ZX10 effortlessly. He could probably wheelie, come by me, let out, let me pass him, and then get back in it and pass me again, and still
that's
beat me to the
trash.
finish line.
That's trash.
Stop it.
He could.
Will,
Trust me.
on,
I know what
Stop
my
it.
1441 could do to my 10, and I know what Progno's 1596 can do to my 1441, and I'm putting Samedi on top of that. So I'm just doing math in my own head from my own experience. Samedi would effortlessly bully the 10, no problem.
So Will, so you think so it has to be at a minimum of 1507 or 1596 to be able to compete.
You know what? Let me take that back. No, I mean, this 1507. That's a nice motor.
It is.
Like, yes.
It is.
On the right fuel, yes. It definitely. I've had that set up too. It definitely can compete. But will it win? I don't know. I highly doubt it.
Yeah. I know we're bench racing at this point, but
then again, you know, just like EJR said, it comes down to who makes the best pass. If I spin, if I wheelie, it kills the momentum, kills the power. That leaves the other lane open for whatever. You know what I'm saying? So if, just like you said, if we're racing Draggy numbers, then, you know, let me put up my Draggy number up there. You put up your Draggy number the same day. All right, this person won.
Everybody puts up their superhero numbers. They never put up their runs when they're like, you know, they got the 30-mile-an-hour headwind in the middle of August. You know, like no one, you don't see where respectfully to the Florida crowd, where are all your Draggy numbers right now? Oh, that's right, because they're all pissed slow because the air is ass. You know.
Listen, I went out today and I think the DA was like picking 3,000. I mean, dude, it was so hot. Like the
3,000 is halfway up a mountain. Like,
yo.
Listen, when I tell you, like, it was so hot, the bike was like, you could feel like the bike was like struggling. Like, it just didn't up top. It just felt like it was flatlining. And I'm like, okay, this, you know, 60 to 130 is there, 100 to 150. What happened to the rest? The rest is like freaking dead. You know what I mean? It's so hot down here in Florida, man. Like, now it's like, it's not the time. I mean, we are racing in the same weather, but it's just like, if you Draggy racing,
it's the same. It's the same as, like, you know, before the Draggy happened, it was drag strip, and everybody was competing against records. Like, who was ever racing in positive DA? It was always negative 1,500 in December. World record. No one does any world records in August unless it's like they've wildly got more power than the previous guy.
Way cooler weather.
So,
well, I mean, I know all of this comes down to funds. So, like, all right, Evan, I got a question for you, bro. Like, you built 2 Busas. How much money do you think?
Oh, these are fun money.
That you have to spend to build a Busa comparable to Chase and Brett's bike?
No more money, realistically, because you have an entire motorcycle, and if you change every part, you really haven't, depending, unless you get cheaper parts. But if you buy the same exhaust, the same pistons, the same rods, you know, the same subframe, the same wheels, and for the most part, everybody buys the same shit. You haven't spent any more or less money. Now, if we're talking about, you know, I want to have the fastest stock motor or some shit like that, Busa has to spend probably a lot more money than, say, a GSXR or a ZX10 or anything.
Weight reduction.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, that even well, maybe not a Gen 3 or Gen 1, but a Gen 2 specifically, that if you start getting those bikes towards 400 pounds, they start getting competitive with bolt-on bikes, other like leader bikes, modern leader bikes. You know, now anywhere near 500 pounds, forget it. Don't even waste your time. It's not like, enjoy the motorcycle or start spending money. One of those two things. But I mean, so when you're comparing to, say, you know, Chase and Brett's bike, Biscuit, in fact, they probably have more money into that bike than Jigsaw does, by probably a good amount. I mean, for example, we're still on stock electronics. You know, that's a couple $1,000s right there. We're on mostly stock bodywork. You know, we still have the entire front end of that bike is stock. The side fairings are stock. There's a lot, like, realistically, if I wanted to get that bike to a trailer only, like Chris likes to, and we were in Florida this year, Chris put 500 miles on that bike riding it around. You know, fortunately there was no racing. But I'm glad there wasn't, because when we tested it after the whole the police fuzz was there, we found a massively slipping clutch in high gear. But anyway, point is that he put 500 miles on the bike, riding it around, enjoying the bike. So keep in mind when I'm building bikes or setting bikes up for people, people's goals are more important than what the internet thinks is fast or cool or whatever. So if this guy wants a really fast motorcycle that is competitive, but also wants to enjoy riding it, the enjoying riding it part makes it slower. You know, you like my bike, although it doesn't really weigh anything less than Jigsaw, is more of a race bike. It's got a tie winder on it instead of a traditional exhaust. It's louder. The exhaust gets in your way when you try and put your foot down and shit like that. But it's there for if I do a stand-up wheelie, the worst thing I'm going to do is scratch up my lower fairings. You know, my plan for that with putting a flat plane and a tie winder on it was to put it on a 16-inch wheel and absolutely slam it to the ground. But I just haven't gotten there yet because I can't justify putting money into a bike that sits in a garage collecting dust. But the point is, though, is that in terms of money, there can be a lot more money spent on Jigsaw to make that bike drop another 20, 25 pounds. Like all you guys pretty much know what grudge racing is like. You look at a grudge bike at the track.
Yeah.
Like you see a bike on Instagram, we talk about getting anywhere 300 pounds and it's like a monumental moment. That's grudge racing. You think there aren't many bikes, at least leader bikes anyway, that are over 300 pounds, you know, because there's nothing to them. So we could always go to that point and make the bike even lighter. But again, he wants to enjoy riding it. So, you know, where like at what point, who are you trying to favor? The person paying to build for the bike, or people on Instagram who are never going to do business with you? Who do you build a bike for? You know?
Yeah, obviously your customers, but I just think that this conversation clears everything up. Like what caliber bike, as me and Kartel was talking about the other day, what caliber bike is equal to what?
I think I can answer your question that you're going for. I think, and this is my opinion, I could be wrong. I think if you bought a GSXR and you bought a Gen 2 Busa and spent an irrational amount of money on both, naturally aspirated, the Busa will be faster. And I'm pretty confident that Speedi and all of the Suzuki community will agree with that. If there is no budget in terms of how much you spend on the motorcycle and there is no limitation and you want to go as fast as possible, all roads point back to Busa. Turbo.
What do you think about that, Will? Shoot. Because I know I said something like that to you on the phone and you actually tried to argue with me about that. What do you think?
I mean, again, I somewhat 50-50 agree with that, but it comes down to the distance that you're racing. But if you want to speak of like horsepower versus like weight, if you can get the Busa to be somewhere like in the 350s, like if you can get the Busa to be anywhere like in like grudge racing style, Busa's gonna win.
And I absolutely think that is more than possible because we've only got 20 pounds over that on Chris's bike, and Chris's bike is more of a street bike than most stroker Gixxers you're going to see. Maybe not necessarily yours, because like I said, that's what I like about your bike is that you look at that bike, that's a street bike. You know, the motor might not be the most street-friendly thing, but you can ride it around, and from a chassis standpoint, that's a street bike. You know, you could get your bike lighter. You could do the same thing that I could do to Jigsaw. So there's that argument too, you know. But we could absolutely get Jigsaw down to 350 pounds. But it's going to start getting it towards the point of like, do I really want to ride this bike on the street? Now, if he had multiple Busas, then he probably would want to do it, you know. But right now, it's his only bike, and he enjoys riding it. He enjoys leaving it in second gear and cracking the throttle and leaving most bikes in a race for dead as a 215-pound rider, you know. And there's also the argument of then going back on methanol fuels or any other, you know, more radical fuels than say your traditional MR12 or 2WL or whatever you want to run.
Right.
But again, we don't want to do that. That an option? Absolutely. But as far as the short race is concerned, now this might be me overreaching, but that's always been my focus, you know? So I come from a world of not having a lot of horsepower, and now I've been playing with some bikes that do have some horsepower. So all I ever, like, if you ever see me put up videos, it's usually first gear, second gear, third gear, let out. Because what's the point of going through fourth, fifth, and sixth other than just tearing apart the motor over time, you know? So once I know I've got first, second, and third dialed in and the bike is geared to meet a finish line properly, I'm good. I'm ready to race, you know? all I care about is first, second, and third. So I'm actually confident in most of the races that when I line up with them, I'm going to get away from them early. Most people think which torque is much harder to put down, but the key to torque is don't use it all. Like neuter your throttle, or if you're on stock ECU, you know, but if you're on max, you can do it many, many different ways to harness power. But on, say, a stock ECU, you know, you do need test passes, whereas the max is pretty amazing. I mean, it is what it is. You can really run it on 10 different surfaces, and it's arguably gonna go down the road. Whereas you put me with Jigsaw on the laptop, you know, with a stock ECU on 10 different roads, I'm gonna have to do some tweaking through a course of 10 different roads. You know, a good amount of tweaking. You know.
Hey, Samedi, I'm sorry, Evan. I'm gonna ask. This is kind of for Samedi. This fuel, so they're like, Samedi is the man. Y'all see the comment, but I think he's saying M5 is the key. So if these Jixers wasn't on M5 fuel, what you think? What y'all think, man? Just MR12, MRXO2, would they be as fast? I know the answer to that, but I mean,
I ran that fuel. I ran MR2, MR12. I ran all those fuels like for years. For years, like I don't want to say dominating competition, but like I would race anybody. Like it was the races like I would beat people that I should not have beaten.
Yeah.
On other fuel.
Yeah, MR12, MR2, whatever you want to call it, you know. But do I think M5 makes more power? Sure, it does. It's a cooler fuel. It runs cooler. It does make more horsepower. Yes. Do I think any stroke of Jixers on M5 or MR12 like can compete? Yeah. I mean, it's a hit or miss. It makes more torque, but you got to be able to lay the torque. I mean, the power down. If you can't lay the power down, then there's no point. There's no use.
Right.
I think on average, the Gixxer will be the or the Busa will be the harder bike to get down the road if you don't know how to manage the power. And the average person doesn't. They're going to do it if you put it this way, if you have a Busa with a big ass motor in it and you're relying on the rider's hand to get it down the road with full power, that bike's not going down the road. It's going to take it's going to take one of the top 5 riders, in my opinion, that you see in the country to get the bike to go down the road really efficiently. One of those hands where like that person's ass can feel 5 horsepower, you know? So I'm not that guy. So I got to do it with the laptop.
The way I see it, here's the thing. The way I see it is like this, right? So there's a fine line to how much weight you can take away another 20 pounds out of the booster, but it makes it lighter. It makes it worse to manage the power that you have now. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to go back. You got to go back and give a different shock, or whatever the case is. You know, but like it's just taking weight. Taking the weight off the bike doesn't make it fast.
Of course,
it does. You know what I'm saying? To a certain point. So you had a point now to like you're in a category now to where the bike itself is gonna work. It's gonna do whatever it does because you have it all dialed in. But let's just say you magically remove 30 pounds off the bike and go out and make the same pass that you made before. It's not gonna work.
Of course,
it shouldn't work.
Of course, like, 100% gonna have to test passing.
Right. That's like you get off the bike and put a guy that weighs 40 pounds, 40 pounds on the same shock, same setup, same everything. Just tell him to go out and it's not gonna work. It won't go down the road. You know what I mean? I personally think the lighter the Busa is, the more you're gonna have to manage the power to make it go down the road.
100%, and that comes down to what I was saying earlier about with my stock 185 horsepower motor that I had in it 2 years ago. I couldn't put full power down in first gear because the bike was too light. It would wheelie. Whereas you took the same bike with the same wheelbase and added 50 pounds to it, assorted throughout the bike, you could put full power down and it would feel slow. You know, whereas mine, with the weight out of it, I had to test and figure out how much power I could put in. But ultimately, it did go faster once I figured out how to manage that power. But again, I mostly didn't put full torque in. Full power, once you get to the top of the rev, you get that thing's, those secondaries, whatever you're doing, all the way open. And so Progno's bike is, I put a lot of time where I do most of my testing is in chassis. So His bike, I'm able to easily put all the power down in second gear, and actually most of it in the top of first gear. It's the initial hit, though, where that big ass crank is the challenge. And that's where most people, where they see a guy start to get away from or whatever, and they do what I would do. And you, oh shit, he's a half a bike in front of me. I know I got to give it more throttle because that's my instinct to go faster than him. But what you do is you upset the chassis, and now you're wheeling, now you're spinning, now you're doing something, now you're really losing the race. So yes, to your point, yes, you 100%. Every time you pull weight out of the bike or do something like that, when you pull 30 pounds out of a bike, that's a lot, especially on a bike that's already sub 400 pounds. That's a legitimate power to weight acceleration difference that you now have to figure out to get it to hook and do all the fun stuff, you know?
Right.
But that's the fun of the game. That's what I truly like. That is my personal favorite part of motorcycles. Is absolutely is like if you brought me a 500 horsepower, well, maybe that's not really a naturally aspirated bike. Let's just say a 300 horsepower naturally aspirated radical monster, and a bike just did not go down the street. I wouldn't give a shit about making a single more horsepower. I would be so focused on just trying to make, that is my absolute favorite part about motorcycles, is making them work, you know? So I enjoy the big stroker doesn't work, make it work.
That's a different skill set, man, to be able to, you know what I'm saying? There's some people that believe in the power, man, and forget about the chassis setup, you know what I mean? And that's equally as important as the horsepower, if not more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially in such a short distance when you're racing a half mile. A half mile, bro, like any little thing, bro, you'll lose a race. Especially someone like Samedi that races for big dollars, bro. You got to spend the time on your chassis.
Of course.
All the way around, you know what I mean? Because it's everything in a half mile race, bro.
Hash Brown Express is asking, although y'all already, like, the answer is obviously Evan loves Busas, Samedi loves Gixxers. So
I don't dislike Gixxers, by the way, or anything like that. So I like the Busa. I think I just like the Busa.
So $25,000, that's your budget. Which one should he pick? I guess that's what he's asking.
So if we buy a stock motorcycle and we have 25,000 to go as fast as are we trying to go as fast as possible? Is that what the question is?
Like, I don't know what his goal is. He needs to react.
Let's just say hypothetically, okay, let's just say I'll add some stipulations to his question to get an answer. So if you have 25,000, your goal is to buy you already have a stock motorcycle, a stock 17 plus Gixxer, and a stock 08 to 20 Busa. And you've got 25,000 to go as fast as possible, naturally aspirated. I'm going to bet on the Gixxer because you haven't lightened up the Busa enough and made enough power to beat what you can do for 25,000 with the Gixxer. 50,000.
I'm going to try to buy Samedi's motor. I'm cheating. Will.
Here's what I'll say.
Yeah. I guess that's an option, right?
Here's what I can say. To buy and build both, well, that's.
Oh yeah.
I'll skip that. Let's just say you got 25,000 to put into a bike, because I realistically that's probably more a practical question, but I never deal with practicalities. So let's just say hypothetically you want to divide the 25,000 into the bike equally, weight, power. You got to buy all the bolt-ons. So all your basic bolt-ons, just call it $5,000, the horsepower. So you got exhaust, filter, stacks, which will actually cost a little bit more money for the Gixxer. So that's technically advantage Busa. But you know, little things here and there, whatever, call it $5,000. Carbon wheels for both. That's going to do more for the Busa, but it's still going to do a significant amount for the Gixxer. And then you're at, call it 10,000 you put into the chassis. The Busa is now 440 pounds, maybe 435. And the Gixxer is 355 pounds. So you're at an 80-pound disadvantage Busa, and you make about the same peak power, but the Busa's got an aero and torque advantage, which the torque advantage, unless you know what you're doing, is useless. So now you've got 15,000 left to put into a motor. So that gets you a stroker motor, a good size stroker and a Gixxer, and a 1596 on a Busa. I'm going to bet on Gixxer because the Busa is not light enough. You need probably another $5,000 to $10,000 into that Busa to get that Busa into weight that would make it advantage over the Gixxer. That's just playing the numbers.
Just do it, Reef.
But hold on. Let's get real technical here. If Reaper's riding the bike, I'm betting on Busa. That's not meant to be a dig. You're a big dude, and that torque all of a sudden is really going to get you moving a lot better than that stroker Gixxer. Me, right now I'm like 165 pounds, 170 pounds. I float in there. I would go faster on the Gixxer. You would go faster on the Busa, even though the Busa is heavier. That the way that bike makes power is going to move your weight better than the stroker Gixxer is. And not to mention, you're going to fall into the bubble of that bike a lot better than you would on a Gixxer.
Definitely.
Which is going to hurt you on the top end on the Gixxer, not nearly as much as it would the Busa.
I mean, hell. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, man, I feel like somebody should come out with a 1635 or a 1670. You know what I mean? And
they
just
got more.
Trailer it. I mean, they have it. But it's not gonna. I feel like it's gonna blow up.
Nope.
Very, very quick.
I would bet money on it. It's just as reliable as a 1596. Oh shit! Here we go. Everybody's got one now. It's that easy. It's literally that easy. All it takes is a 650 Eve to go on YouTube and beat the shit out of it and not blow it up, and everybody's got one.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say that. I have my reasons of why I think some of the bikes aren't blowing up like that. So, out of
curiosity, what's your reasoning?
Hey, Evan, real quick question for you, bro. Real quick question, because I found this man's bike to be very impressive just when I was looking at it in the Rhode Island event that Mr. Reckless put together and shit like that. Shout out to him.
Mm-hmm.
Matt's bike. How do you think that bike will do with someone, around your weight or Samidi's weight, match up with Samidi's Jigsaw on a half-mile race?
It wouldn't beat Samidi's Jigsaw.
It doesn't have enough.
What?
No. It would be realistically that bike. Okay, so if I could ride Matt's bike,
respectfully, Samedi, I wasn't.
Here's the thing. I do hear me out. This is going to be controversial for Suzuki versus Kawi guys, but hey, might as well create some buzz. I do think Kawasaki has advantage for same size motor always. But the problem is, good luck putting a good crank in a ZX10. So anyway, no, we're talking about, now don't get me wrong, that is TBN with a 25 wheel horsepower more on motor, right? That's not enough for Samedi, but the point is that is still a good running bike. What that is a good race for is probably my Busa Biscuit. With both guys riding the bikes, that's probably a really, really good race. But neither of those bikes are a good race for Samedi. Unless Samedi thoroughly fucks up or someone tampers with his max ECU and he doesn't know about it.
my bad, Samedi. Your whole face changed.
There's nothing,
bro.
There's nothing worse.
You disrespected him, bro.
Listen, let me tell you something. As a rider, there's nothing worse.
If you saw the way Matt left all of us in the event, you'd understand why. Because it was like, I might as well just threw my shit in neutral, reckless. It was just terrible. But anyway,
I got some questions for both of you. Now, both of them are like kind of controversial. Will, for one, why you always got to race for mortgage payments, bro? That's your question. And then for Evan, the fans want to know when they're going to see you out here racing, because you always talk about racing, but when are you going to actually race? So think about that real quick, and then all right, go ahead.
All right, let me go first.
Samedi first.
Listen, so it wasn't always like that. We used to race for like freaking $500, like $300, whatever. It wasn't always like freaking 30 grand. I don't put up the number. So what it is like, usually I ask the guy how much you want to run for, and they'll throw me a number, and I was like, okay, some people will do that, and they'll try to scare you with a number and be like, okay, those are the guys that don't want to race. If you see a guy like, yo, you want to race for 10 grand? Majority of the time, that guy does not want to race. If you get into an argument on Facebook and the guy was like, oh, 10 grand right now, bro, that guy does not want to race. But I'm the guy that would take that run. You know what I'm saying? So, you come at me like that, I'm like, okay, but it used to be, dude, we used to race for $1,000. It then used to be like that. And it just, recently, I think Chase got me into that, man. It's just like I said, what a lot of people doesn't know is like, me and Chase was supposed to race for like 10,000. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. But we have raced for like, a load of money. But like we would run for 5, 6, 8,000. I think one of the when I had my Busa, I had there was one race. This is like years ago. And it started off at $7,000, and then the guy had some people on his side that kept it went up to like $14,000. I'm like, okay, this like within like a couple hours before the race, it went from like 7,000 to like $14,000. So my thing is like when I bet my own money. So like if I lose big. I lose my money. You got guys, like I said, this guys down here or wherever you are, I don't care. Those they got a bunch of other people with them that's putting $1,000 here, $500 here. All that shit adds up. But me, I don't care. Like you tell me 15 grand, I'm like, okay, 15 grand. When do you want to do this? That's my mentality. That's how I've always been. But it doesn't necessarily have like I'm not trying to raise people for freaking $10,000. You come at me with a number that makes sense. Like I tell you, I got a bike that I'm pretty confident that it's gonna run. If it makes a pass from point A to B, I just want to see how it goes. But make it make sense. I'm not gonna go down the road for free. I just don't do that. To me, that doesn't make sense. I've been in the game long enough to where I can say I can choose and pick. If I don't want to run you, I'm not running you for free. I'm not running you for free. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? And I think if you're in the game and you know what parts cost, and not saying you're gonna get your money back for the parts that you break or parts that something happened. God forbid something happened. Like me, for like prime example, right? In Vegas, I ran some dude in Vegas, won the race, pulled the clutch in, bike shut off, and that was it. That was the end of the motor. The motor was done. But I won the race. You get what I'm saying? So like, it's like you put something on the line. God forbid something happened. Like it just makes the other team feel better. Like I'm not racing for free. I personally don't race for free. I don't care if anybody else out there want to race for free. I won't race for free. Not on that bike. Now I have other bikes. Stock motorbike, GSXR1000. It doesn't matter. Those we can have fun runs all day. But that specific race bike, I'm not racing for free. But it doesn't have to be $5,000. It doesn't have to be freaking $25,000. You come at me with a number that makes sense. $1,500. Why not? I don't care.
Now hold on, man. I was thinking $50, bro. What about $50?
Nah, that I listen.
I disrespected him.
Yeah, no.
He said no.
Like, let me tell you how much of a competitor I am. And okay, this is where it doesn't come down to the money thing. Okay, so Two Wheel had an event in Georgia, like 2 months ago, whatever. It was $50 to buy in. It was $50 buy in. I jumped in because I just want to race. I don't care. I know.
I bought it and I crashed.
Yeah, but so listen. It was supposed to rain that weekend, and then my boy hit me up. He's like, "Yo, you want to come to the Carolinas? Because like 4.5 hours from Atlanta." I'm like, "I'm already up here. Why not?" So I was gonna drive from there to North Carolina. If it would have rained in Atlanta, I would have drove there. Just to race, just to like it's just like it's not about the money, bro. When it comes down to it, but like don't come at me, don't disrespect me. Like there's a couple guys that got mad at me because I want to race them for free. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but like I just won't do it. I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to race for free, go race some other people. So people want to race me because they want to see where they at. Not my problem. You go race other people, and then when you lose, you come back and talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Then at that point, we can go on and on. But there's guys that pay me to test against my bike just to see where they're at. You won't hear about it because we just don't talk about it. If you come at me in secretive, like, yo, Will, I just want to run this. I want to see where I'm at. I'm not putting you out there because I'm not like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, make it make sense. Make it make sense because there's a lot of money in these motorcycles. I just don't think you should be going down that road. Yeah. I just don't think I think make it make sense. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Okay.
No, that's valid, man. Because I would pay money. I would pay money, even if I know that the end result was me losing, regardless. For someone with a bike of your caliber, right? And I felt like I had something that I just needed to see where I'm at compared to this man. I would pay. Right. I would put up a decent number to race you.
and this is not towards Evans or nothing, right? So there were something that was posted on Facebook where like a lot of guys chimed in and they were like, "Hey, we want to see Evans race Samedi." And I was like, and I said something, I don't know if Evan took it wrong. It wasn't meant towards him. I was like, for all you guys that wants to see the Busa race as a GSXR, why don't you put your money on the Busa? Come up with a pot and then come talk to me. And you know what I'm saying? So like there's a lot of fan base that wants to see that race. I'm like, you guys want to see it so bad? Start up a pot. And then reach out to me like, yo, we got this much. What's up? And at that point we can go further. Evans doesn't race for money. And I respect that. That's fine. That's whatever, but the rest of the fans that wants to see the race happen, I'm like, you guys come up with a pot. Yeah, put up the money. There was a few guys that was like, oh, we'll put up some money. This, I'm like, dude, just make it make sense. I don't care. It doesn't have to be $5,000. It doesn't have to be freaking. It doesn't even have to be freaking $3,000. Just make it make sense. If I'm in the area, I'm already there. I'm not traveling across the world to go race for freaking $3,000. It makes no sense. I'm not traveling freaking 15 hours to go.
That part makes a whole lot of sense. People like to ignore travel fees and costs and all that shit.
It's just like, bro, like, I mean, like it just, I would prefer for something like that, knowing that anything can happen, anything can go wrong, I'm not racing for free.
And that's something that people don't take into consideration, bro. Even like when me and Mike went to Miami this past year, right? Just in fucking fuel for his RV was an astronomical amount of fucking money, right? And then you have all these guys that come out from Cali, bro, right? And all the money they spent to travel, stay, this and that. And a lot of them are just friendly races. Plus, MR12 is not fucking cheap, right? So it could easily be for free, to race for free, a $2,000-$3,000 trip all day and tomorrow. And that's right. Fucking wild.
Yeah.
If you in the game trying to make it, if you like, put it like this, you got if you're doing it for the love of the sport, which most of us are, basically we all are, because you can't get rich from racing motorcycles. Because if it was that case, anybody could do it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody would try. And so like, you got guys that just do it for the love of it. They'll come from from Cali and drive to freaking Florida, which is freaking 2 days, 2.5 days just to freaking run down the road. You know what I'm saying? Just because they, we technically have the best not the best road, but straight road.
You have an absolute like, regardless of like the condition of like the traction down there, you've got the best racing spots. Period. Right. You have endless straight roads. Now the only way you're going to counter that is go to the other side of the fucking country and do it there. But that's the other side of the country. I'm not going there to go racing every day or weekend or whatever.
So people, those guys, they'll like I said, they'll race for free. Come across just to. I won't do it. Like I go to Vegas. Like right now, there's 2 races I got locked in Vegas, right? So like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I don't care. For me to go to Vegas, it's like going on vacation. So whether or not if I get one single race,
vacation.
Because you can't go there expecting to win money or to like make money. I'm like, dude, it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you get there, if a race goes down, it goes down. If it doesn't, you have fun. Go out there and have fun. Like I wish I could bring 2 bikes. But I don't have a trailer big enough for that.
You can't get anybody to collab with you from down there to.
So listen, I usually go with Damon. Last year, me and Damon, we and Manny. So we all went together. So it was 4 of us in a truck, which was great. I think it's gonna happen the same way, but I only have enough room to bring 1 bike, which is fine. I'm fine with that. And my deal is like, I'm not traveling across the country just to race stock motorcycles. So meaning like, I'm not a bully to where like I got a built bike and I'm gonna go race a head and cam bike.
Nobody wins with that.
Yeah, I just don't feel that's right. Like if you call me out and I know you personally have a head and cam bike, I'm just gonna tell you no. I don't care how much money you throw at me. I'm just gonna be like, nah, man. I just don't. I'm gonna tell you no. I just don't think it's worth it. At that point, if you want to keep going, that's on you, and you get what you get. You know what I'm saying? But but like it just
make a donation.
It just make it make sense. I don't want to be like a bully to where like I feel like if this guy's got a head and cam bike and he's got a like 2 mil no stock stroke and he wants to race me and like I'm like okay you can but you're gonna lose unless my bike breaks you're gonna lose it just It's different, man. But so it's not a big money. It doesn't have to be a big amount of money. Like come up with a number that makes sense, and then we got action.
Well, doggone well, hey, the Masters, they trying to push for Evan to jump on top of your Jixer, bro.
It's the most aggravating shit ever.
But you know what's crazy? It's like, yes, people want to see that, but they fail to realize that, like, just like Evans mentioned earlier, like, it's who makes the best. You got to make a perfect. If I screw up, he screws up, then okay. If I make a perfect pass and he screws up, then what? Does that make my bike quicker or faster than his? Probably not. Because at the end of the day, what if, you know what I'm saying? We have to make 2 perfect passes. And how can we prove that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would like I said, I want to race. I race anybody. It's not just towards him. I'll race anybody. When I say anybody, mean like make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? We know that is the talk about now is the media. The media wants to see that race.
Jigsaw.
That's I know the funny thing is that, like, I mean, maybe I do and I don't know it, but I feel like I don't even talk about that bike that much. I talk about it like individually in like, DMs and stuff, but like publicly, like, I don't know. I feel like I don't give that bike enough credit personally, but unfortunately it's, in all honesty, this is something that I've had in a couple of private conversations with, and that it's like, if I knew that this is what I see why you don't, this is I'm looking up at you, Kartel. You were saying the other day, where are all the Busas? You don't see them. I now know why you don't see them. I right now I'm on the fence about if I have my 1441, I want to buy a stock motor and put that in it, or I want to go stroker. Do I really want to put more money into a bike that already barely gets any races? When that bike was stock motor, I raced everybody. And like, it was a blast. I had an awesome time in that bike, and putting a 1441 on it has done nothing except take $10,000 from me. Literally nothing else. The bike's faster, but do I really want to get the bike faster to a point now where it's that much harder and more bullshit to get races? And now I've spent more money on the bike and it collects dust. Yes, there are people that want to, and one thing I have learned, the masses that you see talk about me and like not racing only ever want to race the slowest bikes that I have. When I had a stock motor Busa and a stock motor ZX10, they only wanted to race the fucking Busa. They didn't want to race the ZX10 because it was my faster bike. Now that the ZX10 is the exact same bike and the Busa is faster, people only ever want to race the ZX10. Make that make sense. Oh, it's like, it's the slowest bike that I have. When people only want to do what's easiest for them, and then they want to talk shit when, it doesn't make any sense to you, So again, do I want to make the Busa faster so it's that much, it takes more money from me? I don't want a money race. But to build a big motor Busa, if all I can do with that bike is money race, then I don't want a big motor Busa. That's just my opinion. I don't care enough. I want to make my money the old-fashioned way, turning wrenches, tuning bikes as my business. I've never been a gambler. I understand there's serious ways to make money that way. Samedi's had a lot of good fortune doing it. Well, bottom line is this.
Hey, I'm broke.
If Samedi had luck gambling racing motorcycles, he wouldn't still be gambling racing motorcycles. Or else maybe and then again, maybe you're one of those guys that has to go to Gamblers Anonymous because they've lost their entire life.
No,
but I don't think that's you.
Like, listen, so I go to Vegas and I probably lose like $20, and that's because the hotel gives you like $15-$20 to play. Like, so I don't have a gambling issue. I don't like I don't go to casinos. I don't do that. I just personally, like, I turn my own wrenches and I know what I have, so I'm pretty confident with what I have going on. So I can bet on that. Like, meaning like I can bet on a bike because I know that bike, if it goes from point A to B, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Now, can I bet on someone else's bike? Yeah, I've done it, but like that's a 50-50 chance because you know what I'm saying? It's always a 50-50 chance, but with me, the way I think internally, I think my chances are like always an 80-20. But this is me talking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I have that much confidence to where I can feel I feel like, okay, 80-20 my way. You know what I'm saying? But someone else's bike, it's a 50-50. So I don't gamble. I don't gamble with like that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't go to casinos and spend countless of money because I don't have money like that. Plus, I got an expensive girlfriend, so.
You know what though, Evan? Maybe shootouts, right? Like the shootouts that Two Wheel does and stuff like that. That would be a cheaper way for you to showcase the Busas or one of the Busas.
I would absolutely. First of all, both my bike and Jigsaw were going to go to the Atlanta one. two wheels, since you just commented in chat a little while ago, I want to make some sound advice for the next one. If there is we ended up canceling our trip to go there because of the pretty much the threat of rain. Rain was looking bad. Okay. And the thing is that for local people, it's not that big a deal. They're going to go either way. And if it doesn't rain, that's great. But for the distant travelers, you have to make a judgment call a couple days before every event. And like, listen, if it's looking like a washout, we're canceling this event. Why? There's money involved. People are traveling. People are going to spend money to come here, which is why a lot of the faster guys didn't go. And Samidi's a G. He's like, I'm fucking going. I don't care. But the thing is that not everybody's going to do what he did. And most people won't. So you have to make the judgment call of, hey, it's looking like it might rain. It might clear up, but we don't know. And a lot of people have to travel and spend money to get here. We're going to postpone it, whatever, So that's just my advice. Obviously, it's your, you can do whatever you want. But point is that we were going to go to that. And then we decided, you know what? We probably shouldn't go. We should probably just go to Charlotte instead. Because I looked at it like, I got to go 7 hours to get to Atlanta. I got to go 3 hours to get to Charlotte. I got to pass Charlotte to get to Atlanta. So it's like, well, I'm going to skip one meet to go to another one on the same day. I didn't go to either because, again, I put my bike in a ditch several hours before the meet started like an idiot. So, naturally, I was for the next 3 days in the hospital. So, but the point is that we were going to have the Busas out that night. We weren't avoiding races. If you think I crashed a bike to avoid racing a bike, you're absolutely out of your mind and you need to seek therapy. But, the point is that we're going to the next one. We're already signed into the next one. I don't know if I'm bringing my bike because of some issues I've picked up on since bringing the bike back out after crashing. But Jigsaw will be. That bike's going to be there. So, as of right now, I will probably be riding that bike. And if we race, that's a $50 entry fee for Samedi and me to race those bikes, But as far as the doing the tournament style stuff, I would go to every single one of them if they're all local and they're all that kind of buy-in or something like that. I would do that all day. And if you mentioned having a Busa off, something like that, bring them all. Bring 100% of them. I am down for that. But one thing I did want to clarify on that you guys mentioned about like people wanting to know who has the baddest bikes and having a tournament to prove it. That will prove that day who has the baddest bikes. But like, for example, look at TRC in December. Arguably, the two fastest bikes at that event got disqualified racing each other. So the guy who wins isn't always the fastest guy at that meet. And it doesn't always prove who has the fastest bike, So you can't say that, these guys aren't fast because they didn't win. They just might have had a bad outing. It's just like, any kind of UFC fight, boxing, whatever. The baddest guy might lose and get knocked out in the first round or something like that. It happens. Same thing. All it takes is a spin or a wheelie, especially in a half mile, and the race is over. But that being said, Samedi, I'm pretty sure you cleaned house at that last one, right?
Yeah.
that was the answer I was looking for.
He stole your money, man. He took the money.
He did. Hey, whatever. Listen. I would happily make a $50 donation to Samedi. No problem.
Was there any motorbikes over there that event for you?
There were a few, but not Samedi capable. I'll say that.
Well,
there were going to be more. Like, it was going to be a lot more interesting if everybody showed up, but a lot of the guys that were traveling that were bringing some caliber didn't show up. But that being said, though, there is another one coming up that, I'm not going to say when, because that's obviously not part of this, but that I plan on going to. And, I might bring the ZX10 for the sake of having a motorcycle there that functions. But
I was actually going to say the date, too, because I know the date, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, no, that I wouldn't say. That's going to bring a bunch of randoms to something that they're not included in. But
okay, well, perhaps y'all.
Did I answer the question you told me brainstorm on? I don't remember about not racing.
I think so. Yeah. So again, your fans are the masses. Like they feel
which fans? The ones that are the
man,
like the ones that are diehard defenders or the diehard haters? Because
you got both.
Few in the middle. I know. I have both. And
both,
respectfully to both sides, don't disagree with either. The guys that like defend me through You defend my honor through all of the things. No, I don't disagree. I don't agree with that. And I also, the guys that absolutely despise me, like I'm, you know, a Dahmer or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on out there.
Yeah, man. I guess just people just feel like they don't see you, as Kartel would say, outside.
Listen, I don't disagree. I have this 2024. I've done the least amount of racing I have ever done since I've ridden a motorcycle.
Right.
Not all of that was by choice, obviously. I didn't, you know, the crashing thing. I'm still not 100%, but I've been out for 2 months from that. You know, I also, the older I get, the less I care to chase around. I don't care about going around a dramatic scene to get some races. Especially since I don't race for money. There's not even like a financial benefit to it, and I don't want to race for money. So I just look at like, what do I have? I've been doing this since 2015, and most of the people that I've known for years or have known me when I in my prime racing everybody repeatedly have aged out of this. They don't do it anymore. They got over it, whatever reason, you know. So I remember being the guy that would go to a meet and I was the one racing I would race every single person. Shit. And 2019, when I met King Kong or Christian, when I met Boosted Catfish, Adam, I raced King Kong 4 times in a row on my bolt-on ZX10. His King Kong 4 times in a row. I raced Speedi. I raced all these guys. If they wanted to race, I would line back up and keep on doing it. Why? It was a blast. I had a lot of fun. There was, guess what though? Zero bullshit. No one talked shit. Everybody had a great time. Win, lose, or draw, whatever it was. Everybody had a blast. You know, now people might somewhat be like that in person, but as soon as the internet and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff starts, you hear this stuff. I don't race anybody. Fuck you. I went to Florida and raced. Sly literally texted me, hey, are you available to race? I drove out there on the bike and he trailered his out there and we raced 3 times. And then I went back to working on someone else's bike at the house. You know, I don't care. I raced. If you wanted to race, I raced you. Now, there were a lot of random guys, I'll say that, during Saturday and Sunday that asked me to race that I said, if we get a safe clearing, sure. But respectfully, I don't know you. There's 8 billion people here. You saw what was it? Georgia? Where was that meet that you went to, Reaper?
The one in Georgia. Which,
like, you saw that, right?
That was the track ready event.
That was crazy.
What do you think? What do you think the annual Florida thing has become? It's become to the point where, like, don't race on the weekend. Like, the worst thing that's going to happen is that what happened to Matt. Your truck and trailer is going to get towed for being there. You know, so.
Yeah,
the point is that, like, I don't like you actually guys have mentioned it too, and I know I've mentioned it. I want to go down there annually, but I'm not going down there during that meet anymore. It's just not worth it. I'll go when it's just the locals and I can hang out because I like all the locals, but unfortunately that meet brings a lot of risk, and I'm 37. I don't care about risk anymore. I truly don't.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, man, when we were there, like they man, how fast they got the fuck out of Dodge, like that shit was crazy, bro. It really was. You had bikes all everywhere, and next thing you know, cops show up. It was like, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. I don't want to do that. That's too much work.
That specific spot, that specific first spot where I saw you at, Samedi in Georgia, that spot was amazing. And when we got there, we probably had a solid like 4 or 5 hours of racing before the cops showed up and everybody started taking off. The second place I didn't care for too much, but getting there, that first initial place was like an amazing place. There's no place for you to run. It's 50 miles of tree line, but other than that, man, it was a really nice spot the first time. You know, there was actually some nice quality bikes. But the ones that were fucking butchered, man, I was like, how are you even riding this, bro?
That's a lot.
You know, Vita Busas was fucking scary to look at go down the road.
Hey, he's making some changes. He's on your ass.
That bike was.
He's making some changes.
It was scary.
He's on you. He's trying to be on you.
Just be careful. Be careful what you say before you have 57 posts after you.
Oh, well,
I'm just being honest.
Man,
I don't care.
listen,
all right.
The bike looked scary going down the road. I don't know if you saw it, Speedi, making a couple of hits.
Oh, leave me out of this one.
That shit looked scary going down the road, bro. You know,
it's
what
not
I
the
mean?
best
I
looking
just,
bike,
Hey,
but
I think I had my eyes closed on
no,
that
no,
one.
it's not about looks. It's not about looks. It just it didn't
No.
look
Make it
safe.
make sense.
oh yeah, because of the
I
way.
think
Yeah,
he,
'cause I remember when you
hey,
came back.
I think he lost his bearings too, man, going down the road, right?
Yeah.
But he had his tail was all over the place. It didn't look safe, bro. And at that point, like, bro, like we gotta be safe. We gotta be safe doing some shit, bro. Like,
All right, man. If Peter Busa watches this, nobody's hating on you, bro. Like it just
no, not at
we're
all,
not hating.
bro.
It's just
The bike. He knows what he's riding, right? So I'm assuming because I think his son was the one jockeying the bike or whatnot. So I mean, he wouldn't put his son on a fucking bike if it wasn't safe. Visually, it looked fucking scary. That's all I'm saying. It just looked fucking scary.
Well, now
you know what I mean?
I'm not at all questioning his mechanical abilities. I'm not questioning anybody's mechanical abilities, but I can definitely say that I get a lot of bikes here that I'm supposed to get on in street tune that I have to mechanically fix before I will move them down the street. Because like, I mean, just recently, but mind you, I was paid up front to look the bike over before I tuned it, but a bike that was recently dropped off to get tuned, I inspected it and I had to remove the swing arm because the swing arm was installed incorrectly. It was crooked. You know, now this has been a bike that someone had been riding like this, racing this bike like this. So now, again, I'm not saying that's him. I don't know, but I'm just saying there are a lot of people out there that are putting themselves at risk, ignorantly turning wrenches and not knowing what they know righty tighty, lefty loosey. And that's about where their understanding of turning wrenches ends. So, 800 foot, if you were the guy that, takes an impact to his rear axle, you're already doing it wrong, and that's not even one that's going to get you hurt. There are just some scary things out there. So if you have to, a lot of times too, people all the time too say, "Oh, go ride this bike." Fuck no. I mean, 650 Eve. Now, mind you, I trust 650 Eve's bikes, but he all the time says, "Go ride this bike." Respectfully, no. I'm uncomfortable just getting on someone's death machine, whether it's perfect or not, because motorcycles are death machines. Let's face it. They're fun. They're a blast. But, if it's you or the wall who's going to win, the wall's going to win every single time, or the car. So, but that being said.
Okay. Well, for your fans and everybody, so will race as long as it makes sense. And Evan will race. So stop talking shit about him not racing. Does that about clear things up?
No, it won't. I promise.
Probably not. But
here's the thing, and I've said this forever. I don't race for money. I never have, and I never will. Now, if everybody else wants to put up a pot to see a race happen that takes zero money out of my pocket, I'll do it. But just know, if I lose, I mean, you guys fucked up. So if you guys are willing to gamble in my place, then I will take the race. But
I see what he just did there.
If money is on the table or is off the table, I will personally. This doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I will race Speedi. I will race Brett on Chase's bike. I will race the fastest naturally aspirated motorcycles on the planet. I don't give a shit. I want to prove that we at least belong there with that bike. Not that we have the fastest one, but that we belong there. I've been doing this long enough. I trust that some people would suspect that I do know what I'm doing and I'm not full of shit. Again, I'm not saying I'm going to beat those bikes. So please stop saying random things like I'm claiming that we have the fastest naturally aspirated bike. I don't claim that. We don't have that. But I think we got a pretty fast one. So, but again, I like all of these guys that I want to race. I like Speedi. I defend Speedi at any chance I get when someone talks shit to him. I like Brett. I like Chase. I like Ralph. I like all of these guys. I like Pupo. Although, does Pupo, he's not nearly as active in it as anymore, is he? Or if he is, it's completely under the radar, I would assume. That's to you, Speedi. Okay. All right. That answers my question.
Okay. So you got a nice bike sitting in the corner. Is that?
So listen, Pupo's been doing this a long time, and he is not shy to spending money on building some badass bikes that will sit in a corner. He just won't post about it like me, like I'm an idiot.
So
okay.
This is what I think. He's been doing it for a long time. I think he's smart enough to know, like right now, he doesn't have enough to compete.
Yeah.
And that's respectfully, I reach out to him, try to run him, and we talked about it, and he said he's not ready yet. So until he's ready, then
yeah,
that'll be it. Now there is other guys down here that just won't come out.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's on them. So I don't, you know, I can care less. But they know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to name nobody. I don't have to. They know who they are.
Yeah.
But like,
you see how fast people just rude, bro. They know what it is.
no, it's just
like fast people just talk a certain way these days, man.
It's
damn
it's
jixers, bro.
It's not even about that. It's just the truth, man. Like what? Like listen. So like make it so. All right. So me, I can lose 5-6 races and still want to race, because that's just the internal part of me. You know what I'm saying? Like I lose today, I can win tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's guys that win, they'll win, lose, and disappear for days. I mean, for like years. I'm like, dude, like, come out and play. You know what I'm saying? It's not that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
Learn to take an L and be like, okay, you know what? I lost today. Let me go back to the drawing board and like, you know, but some guys, they'll take their wins and just run with it. I'm like, if you're that type of person, I don't care. It is what it is. You know, I've been doing this for years, dude. Like I used to be on grudge racing at the track. I used to drag race. And it's the same shit, different street. You know what I'm saying? Like that's basically what it is. You know what I'm saying? Different people, you deal with different people. So it doesn't matter to me at all. Like I just want to race. I don't care who you are. You know, I've reached out to pretty much everybody that I know that's like in the same caliber as my bike personally. Like I don't go online and be like, hey, yo, you know, like I'm like, hey, yo, you wanna run my bike? And they'll tell me no, or they'll tell me, okay, we don't have enough, or they'll tell me, okay, they'll give me excuses to the point where like, okay, you know what, this guy don't want to run. So it is what it is, you know. But anybody, this is me. Anybody that's got an all motorbike and they feel like they got enough to race, make it make sense, and we can make something happen.
Let me ask you a question. Since you know me and you know I don't gamble, but people are supposedly willing to. You never know what people actually do, and when it comes to making it happen. But what would be the making sense dollar amount for you to race me on Jigsaw for the people that have to put up the money? Because again, I don't get. You could say 10,000, you could say $100. It's on everybody else. So as far as I'm concerned, it's entire. What would make sense for you?
I don't know, like $4,000.
Okay, so there you go, guys.
Reap, you good? You all right, bro? You over there scratching a beard that you don't have?
It's growing. It's trying.
You all right?
Bro, I didn't expect him to say that, man. I really didn't expect that.
I think a solid. Listen, I think a solid $4,000 is what. If you got like 12 guys, that's this. Believe me, Busa's been around way before that freaking bike, that freaking GSXR. So like, there's a lot of fans. And it's not just a fan of EJR. It's just like Busa fan. There's guys that knows Busa, that knows that they're like, oh, Busa can't lose to a freaking 1,000. Just, you know what I'm saying? So like, I know there's guys that would be willing to put the money up and like, it's a 50-50 chance. You never know. You might get your money back. Listen,
save that 50-50 shit for the roulette table, okay? Racing is not 50-50 no matter what anybody tries to convince you of.
Listen, it's a 50-50 chance because there's two bikes. So one's either going to cross the other line, and one's not. You know what I'm saying? So, like, one's going to be a winner, one's going to be not a winner. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to use the winner, you know what I mean? But, like, so if people want to put up their money, that's fine, man. Like, it'll be good to see. I know, I don't want to name people. There's quite a few guys that I took a screenshot when they said they would put up money. So if that race ever go down, I'm like, yo, what's up, man? You still want to put up money? You know what I'm saying? It just, not that I think that I know that I'm going to win. That's not what it is. It's just like, I would love to see it happen, but I would love for it to make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not saying that my bike is capable of beating yours. I have no idea. I do not know. You know what I'm saying? But like, it'd be good to see though.
Oh, I agree. I think the part of it is that I want is it's good to see. I want to see it, but to answer your question, Reaper, for the people out there that's saying, I don't do anything with that bike, Samedi isn't alone in this particular scenario. All of the caliber bikes that I would have to race with that bike, this is what I would have to do. And for someone who doesn't gamble, what do I do? Seriously, I want a genuine, honest answer. What do I do in my scenario? Other than take pictures of it and put it on Instagram.
Right. So you don't. Right.
Man,
So
$4,000 the race.
I put it back to fucking stock, bro.
That's where I'm at with my 1441.
Like
what do I do? I want a stroker.
Get your fucking money for the motor, put it back to stock, and then you could fuck around and have all the fun, and you would have endless races and events to go to.
That's my point. Like, because like
the
thing is that
Dame, for real, bro. That man said $4,000. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but y'all expect this man that don't gamble to somehow spend $4,000?
No, he's not spending his money.
The masses.
Like,
this is for the
masses.
Like
I told you, Reaper might be one of the guys. He's a Busa guy himself.
I love Busas, bro. I'm biased.
He might be one of those guys.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it, bro. I almost passed out. My computer almost shut down when you said $4,000. You know how cheap I am? Oh, hell no, bro. No.
And that's the funny thing too, is that I am really, also
if he breaks, right, in that race, Speedi he wins, but he breaks. How much does that even really cover of him rebuilding his shit?
You get what I'm like? That really nothing.
Look it up. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing: if you have a healthy stock motor, you need $15,000 to get near where these motors cost, right off rip. Okay, and that you could touch $20,000. So that's when you have a healthy motor already. When you scatter a motor, you lose the healthy motor. So now you got to find a motor, or at the very least find cases, and you got to find everything. But you better off buying a new fucking motor. And then because the chances of think about it like this, if you're doing 200 miles an hour at 14,000 RPM and you scatter a motor, there's nothing left. Literally, it's all gone. Now the best case scenario, you spin a bearing and you feel it and it stays together and you're able to keep it running or at least shut it down to the point before it windows. But the debris, especially valve train, will quickly destroy everything in its path at high RPM. Think about it. Think of how fast that piston's moving. You drop a valve. Simply drop a valve.
100%. Everything's done.
You have debris every part of that motor.
All in the motor.
So realistically,
so
no.
in $4,000, what the fuck is that in the bigger scheme of things for Semidi's like? You know what I'm saying? And look, you're giving the Semidi's face read, right? Look at your face,
huh?
Bro, you look at the shit that you're building, right? And you're gonna be racing that shit for free.
Yeah, but I just love motorcycles enough. But when you put a $4,000, no, that's just too much work for me. Let me tell you something, man. Will, you know what? I'm gonna race you. In my mind, I want 10 bikes in the hit. That's number one. Okay, 2. If anybody wants to see Reaper one day race this man, I will race him, but not for $4,000. Evan, me and you, we need to go to lunch. I'm not fucking racing anybody for $4,000.
Right?
How about I give you 10? How about I give you 10 bikes and I get the hit?
You saying that to Reaper or me?
Don't let look.
Well, he ain't talking to you. He's talking to
me. That's why Reaper. Like, how about I give you 10 bikes and I get the hit?
Listen,
I feel like somehow that's not going to work in my.
That hit. That's
seen
to your life. You understand me?
I have personally seen Samedi do some nasty shit when you Okay, there is a particular race that I told him that happened like 3 or 4 years ago that I told him you fucked up by posting this race. I think it was you and Dr. Gap. Either way, Dr. Gap, 150-pound dude, good running bolt-on, true stock motor, GSXR versus Samedi.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Samedi looks up at the stars and is out of the race, and it's a half-mile race. Like he's gone. He's I don't know, 10 bikes behind Dr. Gap, and he runs his ass down before the finish line and passes him with some mile an hour. And it's just like, this is a guy that goes to meets because he's competitive with everybody. And he just lost the race, but it was like, man, I'll stay in it, see what happens. But I told him, you shouldn't have posted that. Or at least you should have I lost. Damn, he got me. He's fast. But now, if I was seeing that video, I'd be like, fuck, I'm not racing that dude. Yeah, I know how fast Dr. Gap is. And this guy just...
I gotta see that fucking video, man.
I don't even know if it exists anymore, but...
Thank you, Evan. So now that's 15 bikes. 15 bikes now in the hit.
Just what it takes to recover from falling out of that race just to stop his pull again requires power, time, and distance. To run him back down and pass him before the finish line. He catches him at the finish line. Like, it was a photo finish type race though, but it was a photo finish with probably 15, 20 miles an hour difference. But
okay. Well,
oh my God.
Anyway.
Yeah, don't set yourself up for failure, bro.
I'll ask the chat, man. You know, guys, if you have questions, because we're gonna, you know, it's already, I don't know what it is for y'all, 9:54, because it's 8:54 for me.
Yeah, it's been a solid 2 hours, man.
It has. And so if you have any questions for the subject matter experts, then now's the time to hit them up. You did too much to my life tonight, man.
Yeah, yo, he's been no good since you said 4,000. He's gonna go to sleep tonight thinking
I'm about to go talk. Hey,
I'm
about to go talk to my wife. We gotta do something strange for change, bro. Like that's crazy.
Hey, you gotta make it happen, man. Do what you gotta do, man.
Reaper, I hope your loss of sleep tonight helps you understand my predicament a little bit.
That's bro. That's yeah. Matt is actually.
You know what's even funnier? The funny shit is, right, the little amount of video, right, of the Vegas event the last couple of years. I'll see Speedi in the cut, right, and you could just tell he's trying to plot on a race or something. You know what I'm saying? But he's trying not to look at the camera, you know. But I can just see that I seen it in Georgia. I'm like, yo, Speedi's just a smooth guy trying to make a play, trying to make something happen out here. I actually have one more question for you, Speedi. I have one question for you. You had mentioned in the beginning of the pod your goal. What is your ultimate goal with the all motor masters? Like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish, if anything, at this point?
It's not really a goal. I mean, like, so basically, I didn't build my bike to be the fastest. I built it as a way to hustle people, you know, just like, truthfully, that's what it is, you know, just to make money, if that makes sense. So in other words, like, yeah, so like, I don't want to be the fastest. I don't care about being the fastest, because the fastest don't get races. You just don't, you know. It just happened that I'm in a spot to where, like, all the guys that's in the same caliber, for, you know, based on social media, Speedi's fast. So, you know, like, I've never said it once that I'm the fastest. I'm not the fastest. You know what I'm saying? There's other guys out there. I can be beat, obviously. You know, I'm 190 pounds, so I'm not a featherweight. You know, so
just to say one thing quick. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just to add to what you just said, anybody who truly understands racing know there is no such thing as someone is the fastest, because every dog has his day. Someone could it could change hands multiple times in just a weekend. You know. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So, like, you know, I don't have a goal saying, oh, I want to be the fastest bike. I want to have the fastest all motorbike in the country. That's not. Let me rephrase that, because, you know, I don't have the fastest all motorbike in the country, because I don't. Because there's guys that would freaking dog mop me. I know that for a fact. But, you know, on the street, if we're on that weekend, if there's a bunch of freaking all motorbikes in that weekend, I think I have enough to come around to everybody else. This is my personal theory. You know what I'm saying? But, like, am I gonna be able to race everybody? You don't. So you just never really know. I don't have a goal saying I'm gonna be the I don't want to be the fastest, because the fastest get to sit in the garage and look at the bike.
Yeah. You know, a long time ago, someone told me, it's a race for second place. You never want to be the best at anything. You never, ever, ever want to be the best at your trade, at anything. You always want to be second place, because the second place guy gets the same amount of business and the target's not on his back.
Yep.
Or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And as far as the target wise, like, I could care less. Like, I don't turn down races. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you think someone's gonna hit me up like, yo, man, you're like, if you hit me, it doesn't matter if it's midnight. You call me like, yo, you want to race this bike? First thing I want to be like, yo, what's done to it? Like, and then at that point, once you tell me if it makes sense, I'm like, okay, all right, so how much? That's my next question. I'm not, you know, because people want to race me because they want to see where they're at. They want to. I think a lot of guys doesn't have the balls to say, okay, you know what? Like, it's sad to say, like, a lot of guys, they just don't feel like. They want to know where they at. They don't know. I don't think they know they can beat me, or which they should be able to. You know, because the fastest bike don't always win. So every time, it happens to me 3 times already. You know, at the track, you know, like road racing. dude, yeah, the bike makes power, but I've lost the last 3 road racing at the track.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, you don't, and freaking, what I think Bridlington, bike wheelie, first, second, third, lost that race. You know, made it to the freaking 3rd round, lost that race. And Darlington, same thing happened. You know, 3rd round, I got put out. So the fastest bike don't always win. Don't think Speedy is gonna win every race because it doesn't happen. It just, and I do race my bike, so meaning like I don't sit around and just hide and wait for, you know, like if you got a bike, you think you're fast, make it make sense, and we can make something happen. I'll race anybody as long as it makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I
you
don't
just told
hide.
us.
I don't hide from nobody. You know what I mean? If you,
Yeah.
easy to find, dude. You know, message me like, yo, make it make sense, and we could make something happen.
Make
You know,
it
but
make sense.
yeah,
I agree.
All right, man. I appreciate that answer, bro. I was
$4,000 worth of sense. I'm done. I'm done with Will, bro. Like,
no, listen.
I'm done with him, bro.
If you read the comments, you understand what I'm talking about. Because like there were guys that were saying that they would put up money just to see it happen.
Of course.
it just again, you know, if you're a fan, you want to put up money. If you're a fan of Jixers, you want to bet on my side. I'm not greedy, man. Like, you know, you can put. I don't care. I don't have to make $4,000. You know, we'll do it for that, but it doesn't have. You know, just let me know.
Yeah.
You know, we can make it happen.
Should we
If
start a
I lose,
GoFundMe? Maybe we should do a GoFundMe.
Oh, I think I might have said something like that. You know, I was like, you guys should start a GoFundMe and then get back to me and let me know. But I wasn't throwing shot at Evans, and that wasn't my intention. You know, it's just like I don't want to say I get tired of people inboxing me like, yo, how would you do against this bike? I'm like, I don't freaking know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I go talk to them and then come back and talk to me. I don't freaking know. You know, like I haven't yet reached out to Evans and be like, yo, you know, you want to race? I haven't done that. And I've done it to everyone else that I know that's got a fast bike. I'm like, yo, you know, what are you trying to do with that bike? That's my main common phrase. What do you want to do with that bike? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they'll go. Evans, have I ever reached out to you like, yo, what you want to do with Progno's bike? You know what I'm saying?
Listen, a big reason that I have a lot of respect for you is you have, in the entire amount of time that I have known you, never been disrespectful to me ever, literally ever. So that's why I'll always defend you, you know. But unfortunately, a lot of the racing scene is not that. So, and that's what sours me quite a bit.
I do have one question for you, Will, and it has nothing to do with money. We know of 650, Mustang Dame, who else? Reggie, obviously EJR's bikes, and probably some others you're aware of. So, in your mind, who is, for now anyways, you think, because I think I think it's probably Jigsaw for him, but which bike do you think is probably the most lethal that has the best chance of racing you out of all of those bikes?
Hold on, racing my bike?
Your style of bike. Let me say that. Your style of bike.
It would have to be Jigsaw. Okay, so if you just name 4 guys, it'll have to be Jigsaw, it'll have to be Mustang Dane, and 650E, but not with him on the bike.
No.
Obviously.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's a ladder to that, man. Like I just don't, because it just, well, I said 650E because like, I mean, I lied. No, Reggie. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I would put Reggie in front of Dame just Reggie, because it's Reggie and it's
Reggie, Dame, and 650E, and again with someone else on the bike. You know what I mean? But like 650, he focused more on the look of the bike. You know what I'm saying? Like it looks good. It does look good. But like as far as like weight wise, I don't think he don't seem to care for that. You know what I'm saying? No. Like he's not the type that like wants to like what they call chop. You know, like what's the word that he uses? You know what I'm saying? Like but like I think because of that, it would put him like in last place. You know what I'm saying? Like on the bottom of the ladder, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no disrespect towards him. It's just like that's the way I see it in my mind.
I truly don't believe 650E thinks any of what he actually says in his videos, though. I'm pretty confident that is just the character he's playing. I'm pretty confident he knows he's not faster than Dame, or his bike isn't faster than Dame's. You know, I mean, I've ridden his bike. It's an awesome, it's a 1596, and it's a full Gen 3 Busa with all of the expensive parts thrown at it with no real weight reduction. The only weight reduction on that bike is whatever the nice parts he added to dropped in weight. There's no real effort to weight reduction, if you know what I mean. But it's, again, that bike is, you put Valentine, which is their local jockey, on that bike. You know, that race with, for example, the famous race with Artist Fast there. I know that's a fast fucking car, but I can promise you that race would look entirely different with Valentine on that bike. Valentine would have 67 bikes on him before the car got into full boost, whereas Ebe is right next to the car, and then the car does its work on the big end. That's different riders, riding styles. And another thing about Ebe, and I don't want to make this a bragging session on Ebe because I do like Ebe, but Ebe isn't the same rider 2 times on that bike, or any bike for that matter. Sometimes he kills it. He actually does what a 260-pound suited rider should do if he was a good rider on a bike. And then sometimes he doesn't twist the throttle all the way, or I don't know what he doesn't do. But anyway, I'm not trying to put him on blast or anything like that.
No,
not my intention. Yes, Ebe's awesome.
Those are just like the bikes, the bigger bikes that come to mind. So I just wanted to see what you thought. And I could, I guess, say vice versa for you, Evan, like what type of GSXRs, but then we kind of already know what those are.
I mean, in my opinion, so now there's a lot of under the radar strokers out there that are in similar camps or the same camps that are also fast bikes that don't get any attention because there's a faster bike in the camp. But top, I would say 3 bikes are on in the radar. I'll say that. Obviously Samedi's bike, Chase/Brett's bike. Brett also has a fast bike. It's not as fast as Chase's personal bike, but it's still a fast bike. And then there's Ralph's bike. I do think Ralph is slowly working his way out of the competition side of the game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just how I see it. But I feel like Ralph is going more towards strictly business from a tuning and stuff like that standpoint. I don't see, put it this way, of those guys, I think Ralph is probably the least likely to step up and do the racing. You know, that's not a character thing. That's just, I'm the same way. I'm not the guy to probably do that, you know, but that is another very fast motorcycle.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's all I have, man. And you know, if the comments or Kartel has anything else, I definitely appreciate. We finally got this to happen, you know, so now we can stop all this GSXR versus Busa stuff offline, you know.
That ain't gonna stop. Are you kidding me?
Probably not.
Come on.
At least, well, you know what y'all did though? Like when someone wakes up and they're like, I want to get into roll racing. Now they know what it takes to build something of the caliber that you built, Evan, and or you will. You see what I mean? It's not cheap and it's not easy. So they at a minimum know that. So I
100%.
Bottom line is
we appreciate you guys, man. We appreciate you guys for coming on and shedding light on that and squaring some things away for us. You know what I mean? Much love for both of you guys, bro. You know, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your season.
Appreciate it.
What's up, Evan? What were you saying?
Start soon.
What were you about to say, Evan?
Basically we were talking about like guys getting into roll racing, and they're looking at the thing you need to do is not look at the fastest guys. Pay them their respect and their attention, all that stuff, but buy ultimately the bike that you want, you enjoy, and work on learning about how to make a motorcycle fast. Don't try to just be the fastest guy, you know, compete with your friends, stuff like that. But, you know, don't look at like, oh, I have a GSXR 1000 with an exhaust and a swing arm on it. I want to go race Jigsaw. I want to go race Speedi. I want to go race those guys. Because maybe I'll catch them slipping. Like, listen, you're really, really going to have to catch them fucking slipping. That's all I'm saying.
Look at man laughing. Look at him. You'll never catch me slipping. Look at him.
Yo, you know what's crazy is, like, not to cut you off, is like I've had people reach out to me, inbox me, and they want to run me because they're like, oh, we just want to race Speedi to say we raced Speedi. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but it's not. If you catch me on my white bike, sure. That's all day long, but like you're never gonna race me on that black bike. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't care for that bike that much like that to where like I'm gonna bring it out and go to like down the street and like go to a bike meet and like go down down the highway. I just don't. I won't. You won't catch me on the highway. Not with that bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just funny. You got local guys that wants to race me just to see, like, just to say they race the media. I'm like, dude, like, no,
It's crazy.
not happening.
Florida, man.
Yeah. And that's a lot of why, and speaking of making races making sense, but like coming back to, again, no disrespect, Peter Busa wanting to race me. It's like, that is a scenario of a win-win for him and a lose-lose for me. No matter what. I could beat him by 800 bike lengths. I still lose because I entertained the race. If I lose, then I really fucking lost because no shit, the amount of money, time, effort that are into both bikes are very different. Not to mention, EJR Performance is a business. He's just doing this for fun, but on his end, it's win-win because he gets the attention of racing, say me. And if he beats me, fuck yeah. It's kind of the same thing as when I raced Chris Moore. Like, everybody's like, why did you race Chris Moore if you knew you had less? Would you not think about that? He has all this attention from drag racing. Now, mind you, I probably wouldn't have taken that race in hindsight, but the point being was it was a different thing then. And it's like, cool. Yeah. For the sport, he's a big name. I'm a growing name or whatever. And I'm bringing, a BB gun to a bazooka fight from a horsepower standpoint. Let's see what happens. Let's have some fun.
I remember that race, man. Like that, hey, to his defense, it's as sad as it sounds, because you guys had your little camp right there, and we were like, working on his bike, whatever, and I was like, man, I think, I won some money on that race, right? Nothing against you, Evans, but
bro, listen.
Are you bet against
me? No, I would not. I would if he told me before the race that he bet on me, I would tell him to go get his money back.
So I can't remember who it was. It might have been I can't remember who it was. But I made like $500 on that race, and and I knew you were gonna lose before that race happened. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man. Like, it's just the caliber of a stroker bike versus a head and cam bike. It just wasn't it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you like a bet like that, I would take. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if it makes sense, like I couldn't believe whoever it was on that side, I won't name them, like took the bet. You know what I'm saying? Took it, and I knew, I was like, bro, there's no way. Even if Chris fucks up, like, now mind you. He didn't have the fastest one in that low.
That was why I wanted to race you right after it, was to show that he wasn't what everybody was. He had the slowest of all the bikes, essentially.
Right. So like it just like I was like, man, Chris would have to screw up like first, second, and possibly third not to come around that thing. Like I was well, and your bike wasn't slow. It wasn't slow. It just listen, the ET that bike creates within certain distance, it makes up for the aero. If you didn't know how to ride, and when you all you gotta do is get that bike going. Once you got it going, the ET that it makes, it'll cover that gap with the horsepower that you don't have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like I knew, man. I was like, yeah, like, well, and I kept looking at his Draggy numbers. I was like, yo, that's kind of slow, but it should that's enough. That's
hold on. So okay. So that was the race with a head and cam, right? That was your head and cam.
That was my 2016 motor with head and cam. I had Mojo on it to match rider weight. So it was like 150, 155 pound rider on each bike versus, whatever. He had a 4x6. Okay. Whatever. I don't care at this point. If it was one of you guys, I'd be like, I'm not going to say what it is, but anyway, that and a GSXR. But at the time, everybody had similar-ish. Let's face it, they're only so far up and down you can go from those numbers. And regardless of what the combinations were, he was running the slowest at the time. And now I believe it's a drag bike, so I don't think you'll ever see him on the street again. But the point is that originally we had negotiated again, this was like one-on-one conversation of like, yeah, let's for the fun of the sport, whatever, not betting money, let's have some fun. We're gonna do a half-mile race. And by the time it actually got knocked off, it was a 9/10 race. not putting me any more of an advantage. You don't give the bike. You don't as the bike with probably I don't know 40 less horsepower. You don't want the longer race. You want that race to be as short as possible so you can catch them and catch him sleeping or catch him making a mistake and stay out in front and get to that finish line before he goes, well, I just got to sit around and wait to pass you, because that's what he did essentially, you know, because we were out in front for a little bit. That's my moral victory in that race. Means nothing, means absolutely nothing. But for a second we were in front. If it was
so were you in front long enough for it to be a half mile, or it's just?
So he caught us. If we're measuring things out, he caught me probably I would say right before the half mile. So if it was a true half mile race, it probably would have been a photo finish because I would have had more aggressive gearing. Now you could say he could have done the same, but at the same time, big stroker, not using all the power on the hit anyway. ZX10 using 100% of that shit because don't make any power, you know? So, but right now I was on the fence about going to a bigger motor then, and I chose to get a 20 motor red top, and I haven't looked back. I'm so happy I made that decision. So happy. But Matt's bike is probably, for right now, one of the faster ZX10s you're going to see on the street.
Okay, I heard Matt's was Kartel. His was pretty fast down there at Charles Mead, right?
Yeah.
That was the bike that looked like an H2 in the background.
Yeah.
Or was it another one? That was him, bro. He showed me a video. I was like, "There's no fucking way a 10 is that fast without spraying."
It's essentially. I frequently get told all the time from people that don't know better, unfortunately, that my 10 has a motor in it. It doesn't. Tell me, if for shit's sake I lined up with Samedi, you would know real quick my bike doesn't have a motor in it. But anyway, Matt's bike is my bike with about 25 more horsepower. So, and people accuse me of having motor work all the time. So,
you know what?
I was going to get off of Matt's bike, man. Matt's bike is a very, very all around.
I was a non-believer of that until I just recently raced Frederick Douglass on a 0506 GSXR1000. Well, he's a Caucasian guy, so Thomas Edison. He beat the shit out of me so bad. I'm still, bro, I go to the gym every day. So guess what? I'm trying to look like you, Evan. I'm about to, boy, I ain't even eat nothing today but water. I'm telling you.
I'm trying to get another 20 pounds out of me.
Bro, it was, you saw, I shared it on my IG, but it was bad. He left me like I was standing still. So
you can't.
I gotta fix that.
I feel for you because I can tell you that since I started trying to get back in shape again, I'm down about 40 pounds total. And I can tell you that it's unfair. Like me at 205 versus me at 165 on the same bike. That's not a race. It's like, it's disgusting how bad that is. So I can't get over what it's like to be, what do you weigh? What'd you say you were?
260?
Yeah, 260 versus 160. Dude, you need a considerable amount of nitrous to make that a race on the same motorcycle, which is bullshit.
Don't tell him that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't tell him that, bro.
Reaper, I'm going to be honest with you.
Don't worry about it.
You need a power adder for motorbikes in the street. If you're going to race small dudes, I'm just being honest. It's just the way it is. If you want to go out there and race anybody and not worry about how big you are, you absolutely need a power adder. Just being honest.
Listen, Evan, when we get off, ask him to show you his garage. What he has in his garage. It's cheating ass. But whatever. Now I'm gonna have to hear. Now I'm gonna have to hear. Oh, Evan said I needed it.
How is it that I talk about not betting? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I read a comment there. I literally constantly talk about not betting, and then dumbass already in chat, I'll put some money on Matt ZX10 versus RCX10. How about shut the fuck up? If it's a free race and you want to have some fun, we're down. You know how I am by now.
Yeah, anyway, it popped up.
I don't get
it.
Like, why take them? If you just said right now, Matt ZX10 versus RZX10, you down? I would say yes, but because you said money, I'm gonna tell you you're an idiot, and I like you, but you're an idiot.
What kind of? Oh, they must have a fast.
Unless he's asking Samedi to bet, but.
Oh, whoa! Who said something about money?
Oh, he's talking to you, Samedi.
Hold on. So he wants. Oh, okay. So he'll put some. Okay. So he wants me to bet with Matt, right?
So I'm guessing he wants you to bet in favor of Matt, and who is riding their bike? Because if I'll say this, Matt can't ride Matt's bike.
Okay, so how about
the Carbon ZX10 that he has over there?
Yeah. Yeah. So how about I can't speak based on someone else's bike, but I can speak on mine, But how about you ride the 10 and I ride mine and I'll bet what you want to bet.
Oh, here you go, bro. Hey,
No,
don't
and
fall for it.
no, I can't look. I can't speak. I've never seen that bike run, so I can't
Right,
speak. I
right.
can't say, "Yo, I'll take that bet." How? I'm not a dummy. You know what I'm saying? So like, no, it's not. But I know what mine does. So like, if I just don't. Yeah, I can only bet on my bike right now. So
Give me 5 bikes.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm gonna have to get a. Thank you for saying that, Evan.
Yeah.
What?
So when
Yeah,
I show up
thanks
to
a lot.
any type of meet, finally, I'm gonna say, "Hey, man, I have a bottle," because you heard what they said.
Evan said so.
Dude, listen, I would
You
if
heard what they
I am
said.
my size and you showed up with a bottle on any motorcycle, I would have zero problem running you. I would not be like, "Oh, it's got to." Now, if you said I'm going to put a rider on the bike, that's what you weigh, and I'm running the bottle, I'll still race you because I don't care, but now it's not really an interesting race anymore. Now, you with Nitrous, that's a fun race. I'm down for that. That's interesting.
Listen,
that could go either way.
Now Reap is gonna show up to the fucking event with fucking Paul Walker sized nitrous bottles. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Hanging off the butt.
Yes. Yes.
I see it.
Oh, man.
Fucking
right,
blowing welds off the intake with all the nitrous.
And I want
through the
20
bike.
bikes and the hit. I want a bike lift for every 10 pounds.
Oh man.
I gotta get my ass to bed, man. I gotta go to work in the morning.
All right,
but
man.
listen, it was a fucking pleasure.
It was.
Absolutely.
It was.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably see all you guys at Two Wheels event. I'll probably pull up with Mr. Reckless.
Sweet. Yeah, I gotta drag his ass too, even though he's someone whose bike I tune. I gotta get him off Instagram. Anyway, it's besides the point.
Yeah,
All
tell
right,
him to
well,
stop
thank
flexing,
you,
bro.
thank you,
I'm
Chad,
sick
and
of
everybody.
flexing.
Oh, don't forget, please like or share or do all of that.
Subscribe, like all that shit, please.
I liked it before it was live, so like away, boys.
All right, thanks everybody.
Boys, you guys have a great night.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Take it
Have a
easy,
good night.
guys.
All right.